We will now call the special meeting of the Waco City Council on June 6, 2024 to order at 11:01 a.m. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We will begin the work session and discuss applicants to fill the City Council District 5 vacancy. And I appreciate everybody being here and kind of sequentially going through these. We're going to be deliberate. We're going to be crisp as we go through these, and I'll be asking a few questions of each of you. And I really appreciate everybody's interest in this position and respect for this process. So I'm going to, just one at a time, call each applicant to present at the table in front of us here. I guess the middle C, right, Michelle?
Yes, sir.
Is where we want it. And start with the 2 to 3 minute explanation explaining why you'd be an excellent candidate to fill the District 5 vacant position. And we are going to start with Jack Urquizu. Jack. Mr. Urquizu, would you please come forward to the table? Welcome this morning. And we start this process, Mr. Urquizu, with just 2 to 3 minutes. Tell us about yourself and give us some opening remarks, please.
All right. Good morning, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. My name is Jack Urquizu. I've lived in Waco for the last 3 years, plus the 4 years I went to Baylor. And I'm hoping to be a member of City Council. After spending time after graduation in the Dallas and Austin areas, I moved back to Waco to set down roots in a city I believe in. I believe in giving back to the community, and as a result, I've coached a baseball team in the Lake Erie Little League for the last 2 years, and I'm looking for more ways to get involved in the community as well. I strongly support the arts, community outreach programs, and initiatives that prepare our youth for workforce success.
Fantastic. Jack, thank you so much, sir. Just a couple of questions that we have. How do you see your role on the Waco City Council, and what do you hope to accomplish as a City Council member?
I see my role on the City Council as one of fostering commercial and residential growth and enabling technology-forward businesses to thrive and improving the lives of the District 5 residents and Waco as a whole. As a council member, I'll use data-driven decisions to promote measured growth, cater to technology-forward businesses, and make Waco an attractive destination for tourism and travel.
Thank you, Jack. A second question is, and it's kind of, first of all, we're going to talk about your opportunities and challenges facing our city, and then our opportunities and challenging specifically for District 5. But the first question is, what do you see as currently the opportunities and challenges facing Waco?
Some of the challenges I see facing our city are rising property taxes associated with growth, the commercial expansion of District 5 as a travel destination, residents being priced out of their homes, and areas of residence due to the growth that is good for Waco, but needs to be measured in some sort of way, and managing traffic due to this growth as well. If you've been on MLK anytime in the early evening, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. That's a nice outline of the city challenges. What do you see as opportunities and challenges specifically for District 5, kind of the lake area of Waco?
I think District 5 has a lot of unique opportunities. Airport accessibility, 19th and China Spring Road acting as a corridor to McGregor and China Spring. And a growing travel and tourism destination thanks to the likes of Camp Fimfo, Hawaiian Falls, multiple other, shooting ranges, kart racing, golf courses that are all very local to that area. And then significant open space for development is something I'm really excited about, and not just for the City Council, but as a member of District 5 myself. Some of the challenges, I think, are avoiding oversaturation of growth, especially commercially, making the area unsustainable or unfeasible to run a small business.
Nice points, excellent points, Jack. The fourth question is, tell us what you think you bring to the position that others may not be bringing to the city council position. And maybe tell some examples. I know you already said about the Lake Erie Little League, so maybe some other examples of your community involvement.
Definitely. For the last 2 years, I've worked as a product manager, developing internal tools for a digital marketing company. As a result, this role has made me adept at managing multiple projects, collaborating with various stakeholders, using data to inform decision-making, and overseeing long-term projects, and taking on initiatives that have already been in progress and handing off those initiatives to other parties. As for volunteering, really Lake Erie Little League has been my bread and butter. I've only been here a few years, but I definitely would like to add to my resume.
And Lake Erie Little League is very important to all of us, for sure. I've got a kid over there that's practicing tonight.
Sir. Oh, city tournament?
He's made All-Stars. I got to make that a part of the public record. He doesn't start playing until next week.
Congratulations.
The next question, explain how you would work to govern effectively within a council manager form of government, or how would you help govern here on Waco City Council?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
And I think you've kind of answered these questions already in your previous ones on what you would do for the city in District 5. So, I mean, I think you've already answered that question anyway. Before we conclude, do you have any additional information regarding your qualifications for the position, or do you have any questions?
I do have questions. First, what opportunities do you see for enhancing economic development and growth in our city, and how can the city council support these efforts?
Josh, you want to take that one? I'll let you guys participate here.
Thanks. What opportunities do we see for economic development and growth, and how can the city council support this? Is that what you said?
Yes, sir.
Well, I think the city and county and the chambers work hand in hand, or work in concert together, maybe is the way to say it, in terms of our economic development efforts in both attracting new employers and retaining employers here in Waco. Some of that is through the monies that we contribute, but also a lot of it is the relationship, working on developing relationships, working together both with the county and the chambers and other districts with our TIF zones, which is something that usually I'm precluded from due to the nature of my employment, which owns, Baylor University owns property in the TIF zones, but we get a lot of briefings in closed session about economic development opportunities as a council. Sometimes it's already gone to other governmental entities for approval or review. Sometimes we're seeing it for the first time before they are, and we value workforce development with that. We value good paying jobs. We value commitment to the community. And so there's a number of factors that we look into in making those policy decisions. I apologize about this kind of lengthy answer, but
Great.
That's kind of some of it there.
Thanks, Councilmember Border. Any other questions, Jack?
Yes. My last question is, what do you see as the role of technology and innovation in improving city services and infrastructure, and how can City Council promote innovation while making sure equity and accessibility are available for all residents?
Councilmember Barefield, you want to take that one?
Thank you, Jack, for your question. We have diligently been working to make sure that we are in line, if not advancing, in our technological infrastructure and with innovative thought processes. We've done a lot on our website to make it incredibly more user-friendly and accessible. Accessibility is probably one of the main things that we've tackled, I know, in the past few years, and that includes in our technology. Adding opportunities for the community to take a part in Waco's betterment with the My Waco app, encouraging them to be hands-on involved in the things that go wrong. Because it's one thing to complain about a pothole, but did you stop and take a picture of it? Because now you can with the My Waco app, and as well as letting people know the good news as well. So if you've engaged with city staff, you can give kudos on those websites as well as complaints. We're always looking in from all of our systems internally, but especially in water, wastewater, technological ways to make it easier for us to do our job. We're looking into how AI plays into municipal government and what our roles and responsibilities are. We have not set policy yet as to how we advance AI, but we're in the process of looking at that. So we're on the move.
Thank you, Councilmember Bearfield. Any other questions, Jack?
I could refer to additional qualifications. I am and have been working with AI for the last 2 or 3 years in my job, I guess 2 years. So I've gotten an amount of experience with that and think that is pretty helpful in its own right. But that is all for me.
Fantastic, cutting edge stuff. Thank you, Mr. Akizu. Thank you, and we'll
Thanks,
be
Jack.
following up with you if we have any other questions.
Appreciate it, Jack. Thank you.
Our next interview is with Mr. Nathan Embry. Nathan, come on up, middle seat there.
And Mayor, if I may, just briefly, I just thought about this and wish we'd said it at the start. 3 of the 4 of us up here have been through this process, and we know that it's daunting to be having questions hurled at you, and it's not easy. So we really appreciate you guys coming out for this today.
I guess that is true, huh?
Yeah,
Josh is the only one?
Josh is the only one.
this guy did it
He hasn't been grilled.
All right. Nathan, thanks for being here this morning. We just have this series of questions here that we'd like to ask. The first one is, how do you see your role on the Waco City Council, and what do you hope to accomplish as a city council member?
Mr. Mayor, should I do my 3-minute intro first?
Oh, I'm sorry. Very good.
What did I say?
It's not in my notes, Nathan. We'll give you extra credit for that one.
Thank you. A little bonus
Yeah,
point?
give us 2 or 3 minutes to tell us
It
about
would
yourself.
severely throw me off.
Yeah, I don't want to mess up your cadence.
Mr. Mayor, Council, and staff, thank you, and our Waco PD. Thank you for being here and keeping us safe. I appreciate the opportunity to be here this morning. My name is Nathan Embry. I'm a husband, a father of 2 girls in our public school system, a commercial real estate agent, a board member of a local bank doing great things here in Waco, and a very proud citizen of Waco, Texas. My wife and I were married at the historic Johnson Taylor House on 5th Street near Cameron Park. My first home was in District 2 with Alice, where I lived for 2 years. Then we moved to District 5, where my family and I have remained for the last 14 years. My kids were born here at Baylor Scott and White Hillcrest. My parents live here. We love our community. We are proud to call Waco home. My first chance to serve our community was around 2009, when I called Miss Alice Rodriguez to ask her if she would appoint me to the Cottonwood Creek Golf Course Board. I remember being young and new to public service and nervous when I got her on the phone. But she quickly put me at ease when she treated me kindly and helped me navigate the process to be on my first city board. She agreed to appoint me, and I happily served for 4 years, eventually being elected vice chair and then chair of the golf course board. I next volunteered to serve on the Zoning Board of Adjustment, or the 6-foot fence board. Through our work with this board, thanks for that, appreciate it. Through our work with this board, I came to have a deeper understanding and respect for the City of Waco Planning Department, City of Waco employees, and the goals set by the City Council. I fondly remember studying the leadership of Joe Rodriguez. He would confidently and professionally lead each case to a reasonable start and finish. You remember that, Josh? I then had the privilege to watch Councilman Borderud lead the board when he was the chair. And I couldn't help but notice how he gently treated each applicant, each member of the public speaking at the podium during the public hearing, and with genuine grace and kindness. I witnessed lessons from these leaders that made a lasting impression that I carry with me to this day. My only regret is Chairman Borderud at the time did not teach me how to use Instagram. I was then asked to lead in my own way, when I was elected Vice Chair, then Chair of the Zoning Board of Adjustment for the City of Waco. My goals were to follow the examples set from the leaders before me, treat people professionally and with kindness, and be reliable to my fellow board members by showing up and participating at all the meetings. After the experience with the Zoning Board of Adjustment, City of Waco, my passion and dedicated to this city, our city, only increased. In 2021, I was appointed to the District 5 spot for the Plan Commission, where I happily serve currently. I'm proud to demonstrate to you today that in almost 3 years of service on this board, I haven't missed any meetings. I highly value attendance and engagement when I accept these opportunities. Around 2015, I gathered some neighbors in my living room in my personal house, and we formed the Highway 84 West Neighborhood Association with the City of Waco. Our main goal was to bring playground equipment to the Waco Trailblazer Park. Today, that playground is enjoyed by many Wacoans from many miles around. The very first speaker at our very first Neighborhood Association meeting was an amazing get, Planning Director Clint Peters. The Neighborhood Association has continued to host many speakers to inform the public. We've led July 4th parades, we've done National Night Out parties, and many other events. We continue to serve the citizens of District 5 to this day, with me as president. In 2017, Clint Peters asked me to serve on the Short-Term Rental Rules Review Committee to help the city come up with new rules for short-term rentals. It was an honor to accept that position and serve the city once again. I realize Waco is transitioning right now into a larger city due to hypergrowth and new opportunities and new challenges daily. I strongly believe Waco is best served by individuals with experience and history and institutional knowledge and dedication, proven dedication to the city's needs. I'm passionate about the success of the city and would love to help support the smart and responsible growth while also responding to the existing challenges we currently and historically have faced. I'm called to serve Waco for my own family, my neighbors, and all Wacoans to move the city forward.
Nathan, thanks for those remarks. A couple of questions here. How do you see your role on the Waco City Council, and what do you hope to accomplish as a city council member?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. 2 parts. Formally, according to the city charter, Article 1, Section 3, the council shall enact legislation, adopt a budget, determine policies, and appoint the city manager. But more informally, I see the role as a council person to listen and to serve their constituents, to be a liaison from our area to the district, from the city to the district, and advocate on their behalf. I'd like to respect and support what the council has already been doing. I would like to regularly and consistently attend meetings and participate, just like the Plan Commission. I would be excited to continue the hard work of the council to bring in new jobs, be mindful of the new growth, and help contribute to the thought of sustainable development in the years to come.
Thank you, Nathan. Next question is, what do you see as the opportunities and challenges facing our city today?
There's a few I'd like to talk about. According to the Waco Housing Authority, we have a considerable shortage of residential living units available for our citizens. The population boom we've witnessed in recent years brings growth and talent. That's true. But it also contributes to other things like traffic issues and water needs and more city services like police and fire. I'm also aware of our infrastructure needs like deferred road maintenance that we've talked about in here and old water and sewer lines that are still in the ground serving our city today. Each one of these challenges brings the opportunity to work together as a team to find the best solutions to serve Waco.
Thank you, Mr. Embry. Now, more specifically, what did you see as the opportunities and challenges facing the District 5 part of the
District
city?
5, like many parts of Waco, is experiencing hypergrowth and is poised to completely transform, especially in the suburbs, in the years to come. I'm aware of the estimated 2,000 platted lots that the city of Waco is working on right now in District 5 alone. We need thoughtful growth strategies to usher in these opportunities in a responsible way. The city should continue to focus on bringing new jobs and opportunities to District 5 and be mindful of the infrastructure the city can provide to serve those needs and the citizens.
Thank you, Mr. Embry. A question about your community involvement, which you, in your opening remarks, you said most of these already, but tell us what you think you bring to the position that others may not bring, and then provide a couple of examples of your community involvement.
Yes, sir. I will bring an authentic and genuine, proven passion to serve my district, proven by many years of volunteer service. I've worked closely with many City of Waco departments in my volunteer roles, like the things we were talking about earlier, as well as professionally in my commercial real estate career. I personally, on my behalf or for clients, I've filed for neighborhood garage sale permits when that was required. I think there was a recent rule change, but I've gone to City Hall and applied for those permits for my neighborhood association. I've personally subdivided and replatted lots. I've asked for the rezoning of land. I've paid the application fee. I've been through the process. I've worked on abandonments and alleyways. I've sat through many public hearings with the ZBA, with Plan Commission, and even in here for fun. I've worked on ordinance changes, all of these things specifically to the City of Waco. I will bring the ability to call on my network, to bring in other team members to help solve complex problems. I fully understand there's a partnership with the Chambers of Commerce and the McLennan County Commissioners that needs to be strong. I would hope to bring perfect attendance, a good positive attitude, and a willingness to work with the team, with council and the staff for the greater interests of all Waco.
Thank you, Nathan. A question here about the council manager form of government that we have here, where the city council is kind of a board of directors and we work with the city management. Can you maybe tell us how you would govern effectively within that framework?
Yes, sir. My understanding is the city council works on the legislative function of the city, sets the tax rates, approves the budget, plans for capital improvements, adopts city ordinances, and selects citizens like me to serve on city boards and commissions, and approves major land transactions. The city council provides oversight and works with the city manager to cast a vision for the direction of the city. I think it's very important to point out that Article 2, Section 7 of the City of Waco City Charter says, "The council and its members shall deal with the administrative services of the city solely through the city manager and shall not give orders to any of the manager's subordinates, either publicly or privately." I think this rule is important because I've personally seen in another city the damage that can be done if city council members individually are interfering with the city manager's staff.
Thank you, Nathan. That's kind of it. Thank you for your time today. But before we conclude, do you have any additional information regarding your qualifications for the position? Or do you have any questions, Nathan?
Just one more thing to say. Yep. It's an honor, obviously, to be sitting here before you guys today. You might have seen me in previous city council meetings before, sometimes sitting with curious friends that I bring along so they can see how this all works. For a long time, I've sat through city council meetings just because I enjoy watching the process myself. I've recently sat down with the city staff and studied how the city council agendas work, because they're different than the zoning board agendas and they're different than the plan commission agendas. So I sat with them to study and to be prepared. Knowing how the council meetings work will be important for me to be able to start strong, or anyone for that matter. I'm passionate about serving this community. Because of my love for this community, my family and my neighbors, and all Wacoans, I feel called to serve in this position. If I'm the best fit for District 5 seat, I sit before you ready to serve.
Thank you, Nathan. That was excellent. Thank you for your time here today, and we'll be following up with you if we have any other questions. But thank you, Mr. Embry, for taking the time this morning.
Thanks, council. Thanks, staff.
Our next interview is with Mr. Stephen Schneider. Mr. Schneider, I see you out here. Welcome this morning.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Fantastic. Mr. Schneider, we start with a couple minutes, 2-3 minutes of opening remarks.
My name is Steve Schneider, and I've been a resident of Waco since 2015. I retired and I moved to Waco because I've got grandkids here and they appreciate me spending time. In fact, yesterday I was with my grandson at basketball and my granddaughter babysitting. So anyway, but I have 3 children and I have 8 grandchildren in total. I have been in the natural gas business for 40 years. I'm retired now. 30 of it I spent with 2 Fortune 200 firms at an executive level, and I had functional responsibilities for accounting, marketing, operations, engineering, administration, pretty much the full gamut. And that included all the things of setting goals, budgeting, meeting goals, meeting time frames. So I'm well versed in all that on an executive level. My last 10 years, I worked for the state of Texas with the General Land Office. I headed up what is known as the Gas Marketing Program, which basically provided natural gas to state-supported entities. I actually served here in Waco, the Texas State Technical College and MCC. I actually had a conversation with the Waco folks at one time many years ago. And, but I provided the full energy for campuses like the University of Texas, Texas A&M, Stephen F. Austin, you name the university. Unfortunately, Baylor didn't fit in that mold because they're not state supported. So anyway, so they didn't get the benefits of my efforts. So, and lastly, I was the mayor of the city of Jersey Village for 6 years. The first election, I wasn't even on the ballot. I was a write-in candidate, and I got 60% of the vote. Second time, I was unopposed. You had the privilege of that just recently. The third time I won 80%. So I've had the luxury of sitting in your seat and dealing with the issues probably in a different way, because Jersey Village was a small town. It was 4,000 people initially. After we did some annexation, it grew to be 8,000. You quickly find out that the mayor, the city manager, and the city attorney are pretty much the guys that make things happen. And the luxury is we've got a great staff here to help facilitate all that. So hopefully just bringing the ideas to the city management and letting them work their magic, I think is probably the key idea there. But as a small town mayor, boy, did not know what I was getting into. We had a lot of infrastructure issues, which most cities do, and no money to pay for it. First order of business, economic development. I went and secured a large warehousing complex that basically doubled the tax base of my community. Now, that's pretty substantial, if you can imagine that. Second of all, we had the worst drought in forever, and we lost 200 feet of groundwater, which basically put our 2 water wells at risk, almost to the point where we didn't have water supply. And we'll talk about water here later on for Waco, but it did entail taking on some interesting challenges, setting new water rates that protected the aspect of basic needs, but making sure that excesses and conservation were in place. Went and annexed a new mud next door to us that had high taxes and couldn't develop because of the high taxes. The city annexed it, took on their debt, applied the city taxes to it, got a new water well out of the deal, which got us through the initial problems. It had Sam's Wholesale, which we weren't getting any sales tax from, and so when we took that all on, we got 2% of the sales tax. It opened up the whole mud district for development, brought in Lawrence Marshall Chevrolet, Bobcat, a variety of other businesses, even the state of Texas, Texas Department of Public Safety built a building in there. Obviously that didn't help tax-wise, but anyway. And the third thing was Tropical Storm Allison. Oh my, if you've been in Houston and know what that happened, we got 50 inches of rain in 3 days. And my whole city was impacted by that. 25% of the homes went underwater. And all of a sudden, you've got a whole new beast that you're facing. It required interfacing with a lot of the county government to get your projects prioritized. They wouldn't take on any debt. So everything was funded by current year taxes, and therefore You just had to get on the prioritization list of getting your projects satisfied. And it literally took 20 years for that to happen. Now, the city did flood 2 more times, but when Hurricane Harvey hit several years ago, the city did not flood. And it was because we bought a golf course, 9 holes of that, the county converted into a detention pond, connected it to the White Oak Bayou. A lot of the water went there, the city didn't go underwater. So a lot of positive things. I can tell you a lot more, but I think the most interesting thing is through the 6 years I was there, we didn't raise city taxes. We didn't have the luxury of appraisal creep like we experienced over the last 3 years. It was all basically the same appraisal. We did get the benefit of the doubling of the tax base because of the economic development we brought in. But fundamentally, we didn't raise taxes and we accomplished a ton of things in that 6 years.
Very interesting, Mr. Schneider. Appreciate that background. I'm going to go into a series of questions here now. First of all, how do you see your role on the Waco City Council, and what do you hope to accomplish as a city council member?
Well, I think having served in municipal government, I think the first thing you learn is that you can't please everybody. You all probably all know that firsthand. But the thing is you can do is you can listen to everybody. And I think that's part of the role as government officials. You need to be listening to what your constituents are telling you, and fundamentally make sure that those issues are properly brought before both city council and the city management, and to allow those things to be vetted and prioritized. So I as a potential city council member, I want to be a part of a unified body. I want to make sure that we're effective in using city funds properly. We're fiscally responsible. And as one of our predecessors here just talked about, I think we need to be concerned about taxation of the minorities and low-income people. I think we're almost to the point of maybe pricing them out of their homes, and that's a concern. And we just need to have a conversation about how that's best achieved to basically maybe reallocate how the taxes are done. So.
Thank you, Mr. Schneider. These next 2 questions, what do you see as opportunities and challenges, first of all, facing our city and then for District 5, but what do you see as opportunities and challenges in our city today?
Well, I think that's pretty straightforward. I think economic development is obviously the big key. We've seen the I-35 corridor all the way from San Antonio all the way up to Dallas-Fort Worth just booming over the years. I'm not sure if Waco got the full blessing of all that, but it's their turn, I think. And I think economic development is one of the key aspects, and so you have to make sure that you have interface with the chamber and the county and you're within your own city government to facilitate that. I think that's a good challenge. What are one of the opportunities? What are the challenges? I think if you flash back 2 months ago when the lake only had 50% of the water, y'all guys were probably trembling a little bit in your seat and with not necessarily an answer. And having been through water issues myself and seeing what the city of Houston did, goodness, they were 50 years well in advance of everybody else of securing water rights. And I'm not sure I fully understand what rights other than Lake Waco that the city has, but I don't know if Lake Waco or Whitney is an opportunity. But I think if the city's going to grow, water is the lifeblood that makes it happen. You don't have the water on a dependable basis, you will find that you will not grow. So I think that's one of the key challenges is trying to shore up that aspect and make sure we don't have to get into allocation and rationing of water. Crime control, I think overall the city does a pretty good job. I just don't want us to turn into New York, LA, Seattle, Chicago. And so I think supporting our police in doing their job and also having the legislative or the judicial side of it to support them, I think is absolutely critical to maintaining the culture that Waco has here. Obviously the maintaining of infrastructure, water, sewage, storm drainage, roads, that's a constant battle. And so I think that's always going to be a challenge, and making sure that the funds are available to do that. I think that pretty much covers my list.
Excellent, Mr. Schneider. That's on the city level. Now, the same question at the District 5 level. What do you see as opportunities and challenges within that District 5 area?
Well, I think new development, new residential homes, I think are an opportunity out there. We've already seen some in District 5, certainly out toward China Spring in that direction. I mean, that whole corridor with the new road out there, China Spring Highway, I think that opened up that whole avenue, both for residential and commercial activities. We've had new residential areas out where I live as well, and I think those are some opportunities that District 5 should take advantage of. We've seen some flooding. Mayor, you and I have had conversations about flooding. I think this last one opened up some eyes that seemed broader than what we thought it was before. And so we just have to deal with those issues. I think we have to prioritize where our money is spent and how we cure those issues over time, and make sure we communicate with our citizens properly. So, and then the maintenance of roads and that type of stuff, I think is the general thing. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Schneider. The next question is, tell us what you think you bring to the position that others may not, and then provide a couple of examples of your community involvement. You've already kind of done some of that, but.
Okay. Well, I mean, the fact that I've had experience in municipal government, I think is probably the one advantage I have probably over any candidate that's on the list. The fact that I've had executive experience with big corporations in setting budgets and accomplishing goals and meeting budget requirements. I think those are also some things I'm not sure that necessarily my competitors for this position have had. As far as community involvement, I am church-oriented. I have been members of both Fellowship Bible Church and Highland Baptist Church here in town. I'm currently a deacon on Highland Baptist Church. Those positions bring about opportunities to serve and benefit the community. At Fellowship, I was actually an interim hospitality director. The former one unexpectedly died in her early 50s, and I stepped in for about 10 months and filled in her slot. That covered basically landscaping, ushering, information desk, that type of stuff. As a deacon, obviously, you get involved with a lot of things, helping the elderly ladies and doing work at the church as well. I've led a Bible study on Wednesday nights for the last 3 years in a small group setting, and so I'm highly involved in my church. When I moved to Stone Creek Ranch, the developers basically took care of the front entrance at their expense. When they decided they weren't going to develop anymore, they said, we're not going to pay it anymore. And so I had a conversation with the developers, and they said, see what you can do. So I became the coordinator of our community. And being that the dollars aren't necessarily a big amount, but it still took trying to get everybody in the community involved in donating just a little bit. We didn't have an HOA or a property association, and so I got over 90% of our residents to contribute a small $50 to basically fund all that, and then set up a committee to oversee it and the budgeting. We had Jennifer Manning, if you know Jennifer Manning, CPA. She took care of all of our money aspects, so we were well protected in that regard. So those have been my involvements while I was here.
To control the situation there, Mr. Schneider. Appreciate that. The way this council and manager form of government works is we're basically council here, and we have city staff and a city manager on it. Could you explain or just comment on how you would work to govern effectively within that dynamic?
Well, I think the city manager knows. I've been in contact with him several times, so I understand the process. And you know, fundamentally, it's council's job basically to legislate and to approve budgets and those type of things. But when you have issues, we have the the benefit of having a great city staff that basically can sit back and evaluate these things. They're currently evaluating some flooding in Stone Creek Ranch again, and so and we're waiting for a response on that. But I think that's pretty much how it should work. I mean, it's, you know, if city manager wants my involvement in somehow to contribute in that, I'm certainly willing to do that. I've done it firsthand, but to the extent that he wants to take it on himself, that's great too. I can work either way.
Great. Thank you for your time today. Before we conclude, do you have any additional information just regarding your qualifications for the position, or do you have any questions?
No questions. You know, I just look forward for the opportunity. I appreciate the opportunity that y'all have given all 14 of us to sit and speak freely in front of you. I think we all probably share some of the same common visions, I think. We only want what's good for the city. It's not necessarily just District 5 that fundamentally I'm looking to support. I'm looking to support the whole city. So each of y'all in your own relative districts will have projects and things that you want to support. I want to be an advocate for you as well in those regards. So,
Thank you, Mr. Schneider. Great job. Thank you. And we will be following up with you if we have any other questions.
Thank you, Mayor.
Appreciate you.
uh-huh.
Our next interview is with Mr. Michael Reese. Mr. Reese. How are you doing this morning, Michael?
Good. How are y'all?
Great, 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 great. We'll start this little session here. Can you give us a couple of minutes, just opening remarks on background on yourself?
Yes, sir. My name is Michael Reese. I'm a proud member of or resident of District 5. I grew up here. I graduated from high school here. Go Cougars. Graduated from college for the first time here. Go Highlanders. The only time that I did leave this district was to work in Austin as a paramedic for 10 years. And when I worked as a paramedic, I really enjoyed what I did. I enjoyed serving my community, and I found myself helping people of all types of economic levels, rich people, poor people, what have you. And every day I decided that I would try to make their day better, and anything that I could do. I couldn't wave a magic wand most of the time and help them and help fix them, but I would try to make their day better in any way that I could. And that's just kind of the philosophy that I have in life. I want to help people, and I want to serve people, and my goal is to be in this position and serve my community, serve the city as a whole, and make it better in any way I can.
Fantastic. Thanks, Mr. Reese. Just a couple of questions we have here. How do you see your role on the Waco City Council, and what do you hope to accomplish as a city council member?
So as a city council member, I would be the voice of my city, the leader, or excuse me, of my district. I would obviously work to push the entire city forward, but obviously it would be working with my district and making sure that it's run well. And I was telling my wife the other day that it's like each one of the districts is like an organ. One's the brain, one's the liver, one's the heart. If one's not working very well, then the whole thing falls apart. And so that's what I would do is make my district the best I could, and along with making the entire body better.
Nice analogy. I like that. Couple of questions here. One of them is opportunities and challenges for the city and then the district. But the first one, what do you see as opportunities and challenges for the city of Waco right now?
City of Waco right now, the opportunities I've seen grow over the past 10 years is tourism. If you told me when I was growing up that Waco was a tourist destination that was on Waco Today or the Today Show, I would think you're crazy. But y'all have done a great job in recruiting people to the city and turning us into a destination that people want to be here. However, I would say the threat that does bring, I believe from the outside perspective, is that tourism is pretty cyclical and can be affected by the economy. And I would worry that, or not worry, but I would look into the fact that if the economy does start to take a little bit of a turn, then that affects us a little bit more. But I've seen that y'all have also been recruiting different industrial firms to the city, which I would help kind of balance that out a little bit. So that would be something that I would be on my radar. So.
Excellent. Along that same vein, what do you see as opportunities and challenges within that District 5 that you'll be representing?
So the opportunities I see are is growth. It's nuts. You know, China Spring is obviously growing a whole bunch. Mountain View, where I live, is growing. It just seems like every day there's 100 new people that move here into my neighborhood, and that growth comes with a lot of different things: infrastructure, roads, water. And those are the challenges that can keep up with. And the other thing is the tax base. You know, you want to make sure there's enough payments or money going into the back into the infrastructure and keeping up with that growth. And then the other part of that growth is that seemed to come to fruition a couple years ago is this housing shortage. That was during COVID, everyone seemed to want to buy a house, and it seemed like there wasn't enough available. So obviously we've kind of curved away from that a little bit, but it's still something that seems to be a threat.
Great observations there, Mr. Ruiz. My fourth question here is, tell us what you think you bring to the position that others may not, and then provide a couple of examples about your community involvement, please.
So I can't speak for the other candidates specifically. I don't know them very well, but I do have a Master's of Business Administration. I know that's not something a lot of people have obtained. I have worked with boards, nonprofit, large, small, what have you. So I have the experience of working with other people and having to get things done and move forward. I've had the experience of working on boards that don't work very well together and see how that can be detrimental, and how to fix that and build a culture of trust within each other to move to the goal at hand. As for my community involvement, I'm a board member on the Heart of Texas Regional Advisory Council, which advises EMS and hospital entities in the region. I'm vice president of my neighborhood association, Mountain View. I am a adjunct instructor at MCC. I teach ACLS and PALS, which is Advanced Cardiac Life Support and Pediatric Advanced Life Support. I also I'm about to graduate Leadership Waco in June, or at the end of June, and I did graduate from the Waco City Academy. I really saw a cool behind-the-scenes view of how the city works. And another community involvement strategy that I have done is I work at Pegasus Flight School, and I implemented something called Serving Saturday. So once a quarter, we go out into the community, Caritas, what have you, and we just serve. And it's open to anybody. It's not just us. Anybody can come and serve the community, and it's been really helpful. It makes people feel good, and it helps the nonprofits and the community that we're really helping. So I have found that's really rewarding.
Thank you, Mr. Ruiz. Appreciate your community service. Next question is, this is kind of a question about the dynamic between the council and the city management, and how would you work to govern effectively within that dynamic of city council and city manager form of government?
So like I said, I've dealt with different boards, and I understand in this type of governance, you have to work together. It's not a strong mayor. Not one person is making a decision. It's everyone comes together and guides the strategic points going forward. And I think that's something that like I said, I have experience with boards and working with different people, not making sole decision myself and directing people, but working with other people to effectively govern and help the stakeholders in their endeavors.
Absolutely. Thanks for your time. But before we conclude, do you have any additional information you'd like to share or about your qualifications, or do you have any questions?
I just have one question. I guess quickly, what does the day in the life of a city councilman or city council member look like?
Mayor Pro Tem Darius Ewing, do you want to answer that one?
Yeah, I'll give a quick one and then.
All our days could be different, by the way.
Yeah,
Right,
they're all
right.
different.
Darius's.
I'll give a quick one, and then Councilmember Border grabbed his, so I do want to give him a chance. Mayor Holmes is right, all of our days can be different. All of us have jobs and lives outside of this that we're balancing, but specific to the work of City Council, I think it's pretty seasonal. So like the spring and summer, there's a lot of stuff going on. You have to be a lot of things. We have a lot of meetings. We're filing budgets. We're interviewing appointees. But I would say just to stick to sort of the cycle of our council meetings to give you the most concise view, we review the agenda with staff on a set day beforehand for an hour, or if you're reviewing it with Mayor Holmes, maybe 3 or 4 hours. And then
I'm a slow learner.
you get a chance to ask all of your questions and whatnot, and then, the day of the meeting starts at 3. We go into exec between typically 5 and 6 and have the business session from 6 until whenever visitors are done being heard. So, in that time, you are talking with constituents, getting feedback on agenda items, making sure that when you vote on something, you're not only informed by staff on what you're voting on, but also informed by your constituency on what their will is. And admittedly, sometimes you may have an idea that you think is best, but your constituency thinks a different way, and you have to remember that you're elected to represent them in that. So that's a general idea of sort of prepping for the meetings, to make it specific, because like Mayor Holmes said, all of our lives are so different. I've got an 8-month-old at home. My days look very different probably than everyone else up here at this point because of that. So that was kind of long, but if you had a quick thing to add,
Want to chime in with something quick?
you pulled your mic.
I was just going to walk through a typical Borderood calendar day, but I don't think that's appropriate.
In real time?
Rise at 3 a.m., 2 hours of cardio and weights. Then I would say about 4 hours of devotional material. Haggle with children, I would put 2.5 hours. Emails, text messages, good 7 hours. Probably about 10 hours of eating, meetings with eating. And then it goes, and then it's just free time.
What's the IG schedule?
That is a cycle.
Instagram is peppered within the entire.
Thank you for that, Councilmember Border.
It was somewhat illuminating. I
Was
don't
that
know.
helpful? Was that helpful, Michael? I'm not sure. All right, Mr. Weezer, thank you for your time, and we'll be following up with you if we have any further questions. Thanks for being here this morning. Well, now I think everything's kind of on time here. We're taking a little break. Do I have to gavel anything out, City Attorney?
He'll just recess at a time, so you would recess and just say, I'm recessing at such and such time.
Okay, we're recessing at 11:55, and let's take, if there's somebody, who's the next, is Jack, is it good, well, if we get him in a little bit early, let's go ahead and just take like 10 minutes here.
Yes.
What's, John? Yeah. Oh, we got a march back there at 8, that's what you're saying? Okay, yeah.
I think this is the feed break.
Right. So, yeah, once we get him on, let us know, and we'll take 10 or 15 and then hustle back in here. All right, and then 12:05. We'll be back. We're reconvening the meeting back to order here at 12:16, and we will continue our interview processes this afternoon. We are starting with an interview over Zoom, and I think we've got the technology figured out here. Mr. Zagunis, can you hear us? All right, Jack?
Thank you guys so much for having me and making the Zoom possible.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mr. Zagunis, for allowing us to zoom you in like this and make the connection here to City Council. We'll start the interview process here right quick. What, Bradley? Oh, hang on. We're working out the technology on our end, Jack. Okay. Wait 1 second, Mr. Zagunis. We had him for a little bit.
Wouldn't have a thing.
There we go. We've got you now, Mr. Zagunis. So we can officially start the little process here. Mr. Zagunis, can you give us like 2 or 3 minutes opening remarks to just give us a little background on yourself, please?
Yeah, thank you very much. So about myself, I kind of fell into real estate about 10 years ago. My wife and mother-in-law told me that that would be a good avenue for me to go into, and I try to listen to them whenever possible, and actually all the time. And so made a career in real estate for the last 10 years. I moved to Waco 8 years ago from the Colorado area, and really fell in love with the area. We've lived all over District 5. We originally moved to Madrid Court, which is kind of behind Cougar Car Wash, and then we moved to another road over there. Gosh, I can't even remember right now. And then Moose Jaw Circle. Now we're on North Shore Circle. So we've always been in the China Spring area, but in the Waco, city of Waco. We've had 4 kids since we've moved to Waco, and we had 2 coming in. So now we're at 6. I've been a member for over a year at Highland Baptist Church, and that's a pretty big part of my life. And yeah, working, time with the family, and then church on Sundays. And about a year ago, just over a year ago, we started doing a Sabbath on Saturdays, which I thought we were too busy to do, but we've been taking Saturdays off and just kind of resting as a family, and that's been really great. So, we'll walk around, walk in our area, just take some time as a family. So most of the things I do right now are family, and I kind of work now for my days off because it's just been really, really nice. And that's been our main purpose, though, in moving to Waco from Denver, is to slow things down and to enjoy the family. I work from home, and that's all we've been focused on lately.
Great, thank you, Mr. Zagunis. We're trying to just see your face while you're talking too, if possible. Move your camera over to your, right, just a little bit. Perfect, thank you. Just a couple of quick questions as we go through the process here, Jack. How do you see your role on the Waco City Council, and what do you hope to accomplish as a city council member?
Yeah, I did read the questions ahead of time, and I did prepare some answers. So, I'll just kind of go through those now. So, Waco's a growing city, and yeah, my role would generally be to listen way more than I'm speaking, and to really figure out where things are at with the city now. It's just a year position. It goes from, I think, May or June to May of next year when there's a new election. So my goal and my role would be to support the items that are already being worked on, and to just really just listen to what people are needing, both the council members, the mayor, and constituents in the city, and just try to support programs that are already going. I don't feel like I'm probably going to be there for long enough to do any major changes. So just be there as a support position, somebody who is a better listener than a talker.
Great, thanks, Mr. Zagunis. The next 2 questions are about opportunities and challenges, first in the city and then in District 5. What do you see as the opportunities and challenges facing our city of Waco today?
So we're part of a growing city. In real estate, people will gripe and complain so much about it. And my comment to them, if they let me get a word in sometimes, is, would you rather be part of a dying city, like a city that's going down? Because they're just concerned about their property taxes going up. And I talked to a lot of people through real estate, and man, I love it. I think that being part of a growing city, you have to encourage that growth, and you have to encourage people to come in, to spend money, bigger businesses, more jobs, better infrastructure, just making sure that everybody has a safe path forward. You have to do all of that while making sure that our current residents are not being kicked out. The poor people, that they always have a place to be, and that they always feel like they're not going to get squeezed out financially out to, Groesbeck, Mart, where they just have to keep going out until they're able to get proper housing for them. So it's a balancing act between growing and also protecting the current residents. And there's some people with some long roots in Waco. I remember going to this one guy's house. He's a Native American guy, and he was there in the 50s. And he would just talk about how segregation was, how over by the Farrell Center there was a place called the Sands. And it was just basically three-walled huts of people that were living down there. And so at some point they got removed to make the Farrell Center. And then, of course, there just used to be segregation all over the city. You know, people had to take alleyways, people of color. And so there's a rich history of, that's not so long ago. So we just need to make sure that we're not removing everybody who maybe doesn't feel like the growth is good for them, that they're safe. And District 5, to finish that, is that, I don't know, some of you guys may remember me, but I came to the city council, and Mayor Holmes talked to me afterwards, but we really do need a park. We bought the land, thank God for that, and so my job in the next year, as I'm on, is just to really push that through, and just to make sure any roadblocks that are in the way of us getting that park up and ready for kids is kind of pushed through, so that people of the China Spring area have a place that's safe and enjoyable to go. So yeah.
Thanks, Jack. Good answers there. The next question is, tell us what you think you bring to the position that others may not, and then provide a couple of examples of your community involvement.
Yeah, thanks for asking. So I don't know any of the other guys on the board or girls that are going up today. I know Ethan Embry. Him and I used to work together at Keller Williams, and he's a really stand-up family guy. He lives down in or at least he did live down in the Little Bosque School District area. And so I feel like those two areas are very different from the China Spring, the McGregor, the south part of District 5 and the north part where I live. But he's awesome. So I don't know, he's very well connected so far as I've seen. For me, I was on student body treasurer at my high school. I don't know if that's helpful. It might be helpful. And I'm a man who prays a lot. So before every meeting, I would pray either in the spirit or out loud just to ask God for guidance. That's pretty much what I'd hope to do, is just basically be a conduit for, God's will being done. And that would be my biggest goal, is just to kind of just listen to the Lord as much as possible. And that's how I would vote on things, and that's how I would receive counsel.
Can't go wrong there, Jack. The last question is, explain how you would work to govern effectively within the city manager form of government. In other words, we have kind of a city council here that works with city management, and tell us how you would kind of work in that context or that dynamic.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people who are doing a great job. I think Waco's seen tremendous growth. So again, I would just mostly be there to listen and speak very slowly, to be there to support people who are doing things support the people who are working there as city managers, just to be somebody that they could bounce ideas off of, somebody that they could support what they're already working on. I wouldn't really come in there, except for the park, and really push anything too hard. In my opinion, I would just be there to support what people are already doing.
Sounds good. That's kind of it, Mr. Zagunis. Thank you for your time today. Before we conclude, do you have any additional information regarding your qualifications for the position, or do you have any questions?
No, I really appreciate you guys taking the time. And like I said, I've met Ethan Embry, he's a stand-up family guy. Not Ethan Embry, that's an actor. What am I trying to say? Nate Embry, Ethan Embry. Oh, well.
Yeah,
you guys don't cut that part out.
Yeah, I think you meant Nathan.
Ethan Embry, he's a good actor, though. I think. Anyway, yeah, he...
Agree. So noted, and we agree.
A good dude. The other dudes are probably great as well, but yeah, I really appreciate you guys doing this. And I'm in Tennessee, so greetings from Tennessee right now.
Jack, thanks for accommodating the Zoom. I'm sorry you couldn't be here today, but we really appreciate you going through the process here. Thanks again, and we will be following up with you if we have any other questions. Thanks again.
All right, awesome. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
Our next interview is with Mr. George Chase. George, I see you out there. Coming up, middle seat here. We're not going to make you zoom in, George. You're here.
Not very good at Zooms. I would not have guessed y'all were going to be running ahead of schedule today.
Well, just, yeah. We're crisp and deliberate and getting through this.
Mayor Holmes runs a tight meeting.
Tight ship here. We're within a minute of aren't we? A couple minutes. I like it.
I will be brief. You want me to get started?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, George, just
Yeah, so-
2 or 3 or 4 minutes, just however long, just to give us a little bit of background on yourself.
I provided a resume with my application. I don't know if it made its way to you all. I have a few
Yes.
Okay, I was gonna say, I have a few extras if that would be any good. Well, thank you again for having me. I think you have a real quality slate of potential applicants and potential council persons. But I very much appreciate the opportunity. I've lived in Waco for 48 of my 54 years, and I'm a graduate of Waco High School. Then I left to go to Vanderbilt University in Nashville, worked for 2 years in Atlanta, Georgia, and in 1994, my wife and I moved back to District 5, where we have lived ever since then. So 30 years in District 5, we've lived in 3 different houses, and don't plan on going anywhere. My wife Kara and I have raised our 2 adult daughters here, and when I am not doing family stuff, I am the president of Insurers of Texas. We have 40 employees. We do commercial property and casualty, employee benefits, personal insurance, and personal investments. I think that what I would bring to the table as a council person would be experience in running a business. That involves obviously the financial part of that, which is managing a budget, sales, expenses, potential growth, but also dealing with people. We have, as I said, 40 people in our company, and we've got obviously clients, and we have vendors as well. And so managing all those relationships, I think, is as important as the financial aspect of it. And I think that having done that, I've been the president of our company for 20 years now, and some partners and I bought out my father, who owned it previously, about 10 years ago. So I think that experience would be valuable, and I hope you would think the same. That's kind of by way of introduction. Most of what I have to say.
George. Great background. Very impressive there. We're going to go through a series of questions here, George. First of all, how do you see your role on the Waco City Council, and what do you hope to accomplish as a city council member?
So I think, initially, I think, as Jack said, very much process of learning, working, absorbing, asking questions. I think that I have a decent understanding of what the role is, but I also think there's a pretty steep learning curve. And so I think that will, initially that is got to be a huge part of it. It's just learning the way things work. Beyond that, I think being a member of a team, I very much believe that, you can't always achieve consensus, but where possible, I think it's important to try and do so. And so I think once I get a feel for the way things work, that's kind of how I like to do business, if you will.
Perfect. Thanks, George. 2 questions. Ask them one at a time here. What do you see as the opportunities and challenges? First of all, at the city level, we'll ask that one, and then what do you see at the D5 level? But yeah, what do you see as opportunities and challenges facing Waco today?
So, opportunities, I think that building on the momentum that we have, whether it's downtown, what Baylor has going on, and then the new business and the growing businesses that we have. And I think that is a huge opportunity. I will say Waco is a much nicer place to live than it was when I moved here. And I'm a big believer that quality of life drives business development, which then allows you to put more money back into better quality of life. So I think those things all go hand in hand. And I think what Waco has going on is exciting. And I think building and capitalizing on those opportunities is a real opportunity. Challenges, I think, obviously, poverty and income disparity is still a huge issue for Waco. We're obviously a relatively poor city, and city is, I know, making initiatives to, whether that's providing transportation for people to get to training or to jobs or whatever that may be. I think the city can facilitate improvements there, and we have, but we've got a ways to go. The other challenges I think that in thinking about infrastructure, the last 4 or 5 years, the city has done amazing. I mean, I'm downtown and you can see it every day. It was not easy to get around every day, but but the improvements are noticeable. But we still have a long ways to go. So I think that's a continuing challenge that's not going anywhere. And another potential challenge I see, being downtown, it appears to me that foot traffic is slowing down. We've done well by tourism the last several years. I would like to see that continue, but I don't have any numbers, but observationally, that seems to be slowing down. I'd like to see a way that we can build that momentum back. For District 5 specifically, I think growth is the biggest opportunity. It's one of the few areas where we really can grow, and growth is good. But, and as you all know, some of that growth's already happening. But growth brings challenges. You got to deliver services to the people in those areas, and you have to do so without taking away from people who are already getting services. So I think that's a big challenge. And then you got to make sure that development's done in the right way, whether that's, particularly that's quality development, but also that your streets are adequate to handle the increased traffic and everything that goes with that. So I think the growth in District 5 is a huge potential, but I also think it's a huge challenge.
Excellent. Well stated. The next question, George, is tell us what you think you bring to the position that others may not, and then provide a couple of examples of your community involvement.
So, as I spoke in my opening remarks about running a business, and I do think that's a big value. What I've learned over the years in running a business is that most easy problems get solved before they ever get to you. And I imagine that the council is a similar thing. If you're looking at it, it hasn't been solved at a lower level, and that's a challenge. So I think having done that over a period of time is an asset to me. My community involvement, I've recently been the chair of the Greater Waco Chamber of Commerce. I was previously the chair of the YMCA of Central Texas. I've been the chair of the Waco Rotary Club, or the president, I think is what they call it. I sat until recently on the Public Improvement District Board of Directors, and I currently sit on the City Center Waco Board of Directors. Going back, way back, I've been on other boards and whatnot, but that's kind of the most recent experience in the last 6, 7, 8 years.
Thanks, Mr. Chase. This question is about the city council and city manager. We're in a council manager form of government where we're kind of the board of directors, and we have a city manager that runs the city day to day. Maybe comment on how you would govern effectively within that dynamic.
Yeah, I think a council position is very similar to a board position in a not-for-profit entity, and I see the responsibilities kind of 5 steps. First, hire the senior executive staff. Secondly, provide them guidance, mentorship, and a vision and direction. Third, set goals to achieve that vision. Fourth, hold them accountable and provide feedback in accomplishing those goals, but also hold people accountable for achieving them. And I've lost track of the numbers I said, but the last thing would be once you've done those things, stay out of their way.
Yeah, that was number 5. That's exactly right. Get out of the way.
Accounting. Probably, please don't hold that against me.
Might come in handy at budget time, but George, thanks for those insightful answers. And then thanks for your time today. Before we conclude, do you have any additional information regarding your qualifications for this position, or do you have any questions?
I do not. My only question would be just as to the time frame of when the council will decide, and then when you would notify applicants.
We're going to try to get through all the interviews today, and we're going to meet in an executive session at the end of this. If we have time, we'll try to make the decision today. Frank, okay. I think we'd like to make the decision today. But if we don't have enough time to do that, we'll be announcing that at the next council meeting.
Makes sense. Any other questions for me?
Good shape. Thanks, Mr.
Thank you all very much.
Appreciate you, George. We're running a little ahead of schedule, and is Michael McAdams is next on the schedule, but we haven't heard anything back from Mr. McAdams.
I heard from Mr. McAdams.
And Ms. Stevens, I see you're out there. If you want to, is it all right with everybody if we skip over Michael and? Sure. And is it all right with you, first of all? Well, Ms. Stevens, Kim, I appreciate you coming up here and being ready to go ahead of time. And so we'll just continue with Ms. Stevens. And as you get situated there, thanks for being here this morning and being part of this process, Kim. Can we start by just giving us a few minutes on your background and opening remarks?
So I moved to Waco in 1985 to go to Baylor University, and with the exception of a couple years in Austin, I've lived here since then, the majority of that time in District 5. We purchased our first home just down the street from First United Methodist Church, and I've lived within a few square miles of that since then. I've raised my 4 children here, and some of them are parents now, and so I'm just delighted that my grandchildren are growing up in this community that I love so dearly. I'm a small business owner. I started a company called Waco Social 5 years ago next month, and a majority of our clients are local nonprofit organizations that we help with annual fundraising events. In fact, we have one tonight, so I'm grateful to be in and out a little bit early. We even helped a few of those conduct virtual events during those COVID days when we were all scrambling a little bit. So through that work, I've become really deeply connected with organizations in our city whose mission is the betterment of our community through improving lives of the people who live here by connecting them with local resources that we offer. I have served on the boards of multiple local organizations for more than 20 years. Currently, I sit on the Mayborn Board of Advocates, the Ascension Providence Foundation, the Greater Waco Chamber Board, and I just completed a 9-year term on Baylor's Board of Regents. Through my experience on the Board of Regents and through the governance review process that we went through over the past several years, I've had the opportunity to see how a healthy board functions and in relation to the president and leadership of the university. And while it's not apples to apples, I believe that this is a good correlation to the manager-council form of government that we have here. Each is vital and each has a lane. Through collaboration and the pursuit of excellence, the council manager can work together to build on the foundation of the previous leadership and look to the future development and growth of Waco, with vision that focuses on healthy economic development, sustainable infrastructure, and safe neighborhoods for all families to enjoy. In short, creating a vibrant community where every resident has the opportunity to thrive. This is done by fostering strong partnerships with local businesses, churches, educational institutions, civic and nonprofit organizations whose heart and mission is the lifeblood of our community's future. I believe that Waco's finest days are just ahead, and I would be honored to serve as a representative for District 5.
Thanks, Kim. We'll go through a series of questions here. You've answered a bunch of them in your opening remarks, but we'll go through them one by one. Yeah. How do you see your role on the Waco City Council, and what do you hope to accomplish as a city council member?
As to my role, I think I bring a lot of perspectives, different perspectives to the board. As I mentioned, I'm a mother and a grandmother, so my heart is for families in our community, preserving the culture of our city, the values that we're known for. I'm a business owner. I think that gives me perspective just on the business end of things, like how do you evaluate a budget? How do you really evaluate systems? Are they working well? Do we have the right people in the right seats? I hope to work with the council to continue the work and foundation that has been laid with the strong infrastructure development that's already been done and the neighborhood development that has started, but also continuing that.
Fantastic. Thanks, Ms. Stevens. A couple of questions here about the opportunities and challenges. First of all, what do you see as opportunities and challenges facing the city? And then what do you see as opportunities and challenges within District 5?
As has been mentioned by others, we have opportunities for significant growth and development that's already happening and continuing. The explosive growth downtown, the river development, the growth in tourism. The same growth presents challenges if it's not stewarded well by the city leadership and planning. So I think keeping a forward-thinking mindset, well-developed and researched plans are critical in developing plans that will stand the test of time. In District 5, there's lots of great development being done along Lakeshore Drive out towards China Spring. It's very exciting to see all the new businesses popping up. China Spring Highway and the airport renovation is amazing. Lots of potential there. What's challenging, I think, about District 5 is it seems to have a larger geographic area and larger population, and it's spread out. It's really spread out. So just challenging for the council to really represent all of the residents well.
Well stated, Kim. I think you're right on it being spread out. There's like 8 different neighborhoods there to represent.
Yeah.
Tell us what you think tell us what you think you bring to the position uniquely that others may not bring to the position, and then provide some examples of a community involvement. I know we've already done that, but maybe elaborate on those a little bit
Okay,
if you want.
sure. As I mentioned earlier, I've served on boards and in leadership roles in Waco most of my adult life. I've led through some incredibly challenging and difficult issues on a variety of scales, even when the outcomes were not popular. And what that gave me is the courage to lead with conviction. In a position such as a board position and a council member, people don't always see things your way. But I'm comfortable with that, and I believe if you're making the best decision for the organization, that you can stand strong in your beliefs with that. As to community involvement, I don't know if y'all got my resume because I missed that. Okay, so before I started, like when my kids were young, I was volunteering throughout the city at my church, at the kids' schools with CareNet specifically. I have a long history with them. So I have a lot of history in running big fundraising events for schools, for organizations in the city, even before I did it as an occupation. So really bringing teams of people together to accomplish big goals and position organizations well so they can ask for the money. I hate personally asking for money, but I like to create the great atmosphere so others can.
Fantastic. I was just looking at your resume there. You do a lot of community involvement. Explain how you would govern effectively within the council manager form of government. And like I say, it's basically a city council acting as quasi board of directors, and we have the city management running the city day to day. But tell us how you would be effective in that dynamic.
Yeah. I think I bring experience in that specifically with my service on the Board of Regents. When I started in the summer of 2015, the relationship of the board to the leadership of the university was not in line. There was a lot of unhealth there in a lot of respects. But through the governance review process that we took an in-depth look at ourselves as a board, and we made a lot of corrective measures so that we were in line with what our roles are. Our role was not to run the university. Our role was to support the president and her leadership team. So what I learned through that is that there has to be mutual respect and collaboration to accomplish the work of an organization. And so I would bring that spirit of collaboration to the council.
That's an excellent example, Kim. And really that kind of is all the questions we have right now. Thank you for your time. But before we conclude, do you have any additional information regarding your qualifications for the position? And then after that, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I just have a question about how you all develop processes, but can you give me, I don't know if there's a quick synopsis, but the process the council uses to set and measure the strategic goals. Are those annual goals? Are those kind of rolling? I know you had about 7 or so specific areas listed.
Councilmember Barefield, you want to take that one? Or whoever wants to jump in?
Sure. Thank you for the question. So in my term and tenure on council, we have switched with a couple of city managers. And at that time, I think when we switched with City Manager Ford, it was a perfect opportunity to revisit the city's strategic goals. And so we set specific time away to do just that. And annually, we address those goals to see if it's still necessary. Do we need, and we just as recent as this past budget retreat, had subject matter experts come in to see and interviewed us. So this was over the course of a few weeks before our budget retreat to see if where we were still in line with our goals. Are there any goals that or metrics that had been met that we can scale back in where our goals were? Are there any things that could be combined? And we found that no, right now our metrics are still and our goals are still what they need to be. And, but we exercise that muscle at least annually.
So annual review kind of process, okay.
And I'll just add really quickly that they, obviously there are things that we are striving towards, and if you've looked and saw that we have 7, you're at least somewhat familiar with what they are. But more than that, they are the guiding principle by which our actions are tied back to. So more than this one goal or metric that we're striving to hit in this timeline, it is as we enact ordinances or changes in the city, can we tie that back to one of our goals? If so, great. If not, let's talk about this before we move forward with it.
That makes sense.
Kim, thanks so much for being here this morning, and great resume and great interview. Appreciate you. We will be following up with you if we have any other questions.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ms. Stevens. At this time, has Mr. McAdams appeared yet? No?
Use the restroom.
Wait, no, not yet.
Okay.
So the next one after that would be Janessa Givens.
Which is not until,
Janessa is not here yet.
until 1:15, that's 30 minutes from now, so.
Man, I would re-urge my request.
We won't break quorum if it goes. We keep the quorum with.
Go ahead, Councilmember Border Reed. Then should we go, Jennifer?
I would
should we-
recommend
City Attorney,
recessing.
should we recess, and then as soon as we see,
3 minutes, 4 minutes later.
as soon as either Mr. McAdams or Ms. Givens appear, just give us the heads up and we'll reconvene. But we will, what's the right word?
Recess.
Recess. We will recess at 12:49.
I love that you continue to say.
We will now reconvene this meeting at 1:04. And our next interviewee in this process is Janessa Givens. And Janessa, how are you doing this morning?
I'm wonderful. How are you all doing?
Fantastic. We're doing great. As part of this little process, we first of all give you 2 or 3 or 4 minutes just to make some opening remarks about yourself.
Okay, well, great. As the mayor stated, my name is Janessa Givens, and I would first like to thank the members of City Council and their support staff for giving me the opportunity to be here and interview with you all today. And prayerfully, with your vote and support, I will be chosen to fill the open seat for District 5 for this unexpired term. Just to give you a little bit of a background, in my short term of being a Wacoan, I'm constantly impressed by the tremendous growth that I've personally seen within the city in my short term here, which is a testament to your service in the city, to the city and to its citizens. So I applaud each of you today for your service to the city and your time that you've served throughout the years. I like to say uncommon roads lead to amazing destinations. My life is a testament to that. And in my honest opinion, Waco is one of those amazing destinations. Just to give you a little insight into who I am, I typically refer to myself as a northerner with a southern charm. I was raised in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and Charlotte, North Carolina by parents who are from small towns in South Carolina. I was raised by parents who instilled in us, my sister and I, it's only 2 of us, the importance of caring for those around you, not just your immediate sphere of influence, but to see others that may not necessarily see the life as you may see them and have access to opportunities that you may have yourself. That sentiment has been fueled with me and has stayed with me and has been my passion for as long as I can remember. I also believe that same passion has followed me all throughout my life from childhood, from being a 3-year-old Jan wanting to be an attorney to being that today, and then my passion and service for others as I continue to serve. I want to be a service to others, an advocate for the voiceless, a David defeating Goliath when it's necessary, and an asset to the Waco community and the surrounding area. I moved to Waco from Dallas in April 2022, and as I stated earlier, Waco has quickly proven to be an amazing destination for me. I moved here for my job, where I'm currently associate counsel at Magnolia, right down the street from here. And Waco has quickly grown for me from just being a place where I am employed and then eventually became a resident to now a homeowner and someone that has planted roots in Waco and just loves the city around me and my fellow citizens and constituents. Although I moved from work, like I said, I moved to be a homeowner, and I'm here to apologize. I'm a little bit nervous, so I do apologize for that.
Great.
Thank you. One thing I do always admire and appreciate wherever I go, but especially here in Waco, is when you can acknowledge the past, appreciate the things that have happened in the past, what it's taught us, and build a better foundation from that, And in my opinion, Waco has done that and is continuously doing so. I remember not too long ago when I would pass through Waco prior to me moving here on my way to Austin or other areas in Texas, and the infrastructure here in Waco wasn't what it is today. However, in that short period of time, there was such rapid growth, and there's continuous rapid growth that's going on in the city, and that is something that I am eager to be a part of, and I would love to volunteer in that aspect, in any aspect that I may have. And like I said earlier, although there is tremendous growth in the area, I appreciate the fact that Waco honors its past and its traditions and uses that to build a better society for its citizens and to make Waco one of the destination cities in Texas. And with that being said, thank you all for this opportunity to interview before you today.
Thanks, Ms. Gibbons. Great background, very impressive.
Thank you.
Glad you're in Waco.
Thank you, me too.
I'll just go through a series of a few questions here.
Yes, sir.
The first one is, how do you see your role on the Waco City Council, and what do you hope to accomplish as a city council member?
Okay, thank you for that question, Mayor. I hope to see my role as a voice and an advocate for those in District 5 and the constituents of District 5, as well as those in the city of Waco, and to bring a balance to the city council. I do believe that the council has done well throughout the years, and they're continuing to do extremely well throughout the city and representing the different constituents in your respective districts. As I stated earlier, Waco is growing. And although I will be bringing a balance, I do hope to add to the trust that's already been established in District 5 by you, Mayor Holmes, and continue to add to that with our constituents.
Thanks, Janessa. Then there's a couple of questions here about opportunities and challenges. What do you see as opportunities and challenges facing our city of Waco right now?
Okay. With that, I would say probably one of the major challenges, in my opinion, would be two of the major challenges, in my opinion. One would be the rapid growth that's before Waco right now, but then also not only the rapid growth, but trying to find that balance from the growth and what that brings to the city and inclusion. And by that, with inclusion, we need inclusion for everyone, all demographics and different races within the city. However, with that, even though with the growth, I do commend those sitting up here before me and those that came before you, because you all were proactive in 2021 with that disparity research that you did to see, okay, where are we lacking in resources throughout the city and where can we do better, and identifying where you could assist with women and or minority-owned businesses, and to add them and include them in this process. So with that, I do see that as a major opportunity, although it could be it initially could have started off as an issue for a challenge. It's being tackled very well throughout those on this board, as well throughout in the city as well. So that's one of the things that I think that's amazing, and a testament to those that are sitting up here before you and those that may have come before you because of the exponential growth. And I do see Waco as being one of the destination cities in the future, and it's actually attracting other businesses, major companies. With that, it brings an opportunity to bring more job security for those that are here in the city, an opportunity for increased income for some of the citizens that may have not had access to that increased income, and to bring major companies here.
Nice context in that answer. Great.
Thank you.
What do you see as opportunities and challenges facing specifically District 5?
I do believe that some of those challenges are the same in District 5, whereas District 5 is one of the larger areas in the district. And so it kind of touches quite a few demographics in that sense, where it spans from Waco to China Spring. And even though it's on track of being a destination city, I do hope that the city and the council considers, and one of the challenges I do see for District 5 would be to bring in not only business opportunities when it comes to housing units, but commercial business opportunities within District 5, and then to have the opportunities for entrepreneurship. I do apologize, I am a little nervous.
No, you're doing great. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Great answers here, both on the city and D5. Again, beautiful context.
Thank you.
The next question is, tell us what you think you bring to the position that others applying here may not, and then provide just a few examples of your community involvement.
Absolutely. I would say I bring a tenacity. Anything that I get involved in, I go in 1,000%. And not only with that, with the tenacity, I guess I have a passion for people, a passion to serve, a passion for those that are underserved in our community, and I want to always be a voice to the voiceless, but while bringing a balance. And that's one of the, I would say, a positive of my career and my ambitions from childhood in being an attorney is I can look at the facts but understand both sides and then try to compromise when it comes from there. And that passion has not only fueled throughout my lifespan so far in the 40 years that I've been here on this earth, but it's also my community involvement. I can speak for that here in Waco. I am on the board of Esther's Closet. If you're familiar with Esther's Closet here in Waco, I am on their board, and that's an organization, it's nonprofit, it's a part of the organization where they actually empower women to give them professional workwear, also help them, give them access to career development so they can advance in their careers. I've been a member of Junior League for years, and I'm also a member of Junior League here in Waco. That is an organization for women as well, where they train women for volunteerism so that they can be better volunteers and community advocates within their community. I'm a part of, within Magnolia, we have within the company, it's a nonprofit called Magnolia Family Fund. And to speak to that, it was just something I'm really proud of for our company here. Magnolia Family Fund is a fund that we have that's internal that allows employees to donate to a fund to support our employees. The good thing about it is our owners, they recognize that there's a need in the community, and you can't always be the one that's constantly giving to that need, but then you also have employees that are wanting to volunteer, willing to volunteer, and want to participate in the process of supporting those around them. And I am grateful to be working for a company that is a family environment, and so to be on that board and sit on there for Family Fund is great. I'm always amazed by what we do internally, but to see that is a blessing. Not only with that, I'm part of a group called the Waco Community Alliance. It's fairly new and quite budding here, but it's an organization of me and quite a few other leaders within the community, and the whole goal is to partner with currently established organizations, identify the issues that they see as a need and concern for the city of Waco, and how we can partner with them to assist them to meet the goals that they have set before them and be extra hands in the actual work and feet on the grounds to assist them in that sense. So that's it. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks,
Thank you.
Janessa. I appreciate your service in the community.
Thank you.
This question is, explain how you would govern effectively within the council manager form of government, which is, as a city council here, we kind of serve as a kind of a board of directors, and we have city management doing the day-to-day work, and maybe address how you work in that dynamic.
I think I would be fine. I'm quite flexible. I wouldn't have a problem with working that dynamic. I do understand that the city council is more of the legislative branch of the government functions for the city. So with that being said, my understanding is the city council for Waco, you approve the budget, the taxes, appoint the city manager, the city secretary, the city attorney, and so forth. So I don't see that being a problem to being able to work and govern effectively in this council manager form of government, because number one, I do believe that the person that you've already appointed as the city manager and in those appointed roles, that is someone that you've appointed and you trust that they can actually uphold the standards of the city and actually guide us forward. So I trust your decision when it comes to that. I also trust that even though I know there's times there will be differing opinions in the room, but we all will respect the leadership that's before us. So I don't see any issues with me being able to manage with that effectively at all.
Fantastic. I like that aspect of teamwork. It's important. Super impressive resume. Just flipping through here
Thank
again.
you. Thank you.
I want to thank you for your time today. But before we conclude, do you have any additional information regarding your qualifications for the position, or do you have any questions?
I do have a question. When would you all know that? When would you decide to actually make a decision on to filling this role? Is that today or that the next session?
We will be, as we conclude the interviews at 3 to 3:15 this afternoon,
Okay.
we're going to convene an executive session. If we have time to make the final decision, we're going to try to do it today. It's a
Okay.
possibility we may defer till the next council meeting.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Well, I appreciate the time being before you all today, and I look forward to serving in whatever capacity that I have the opportunity to serve here within the city of Waco. So thank you for having me. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Ms. Gibbons. Great interview. Thank you, and we'll be following up with you if you have any other questions.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you coming
Have
in.
a wonderful day. Thank you. Thank you.
Michelle, our next, I mean, looking at our schedule, Mr. McAdams is not going to join us. So we are in a break period, and when, I guess, Dr. Stevenson or Mr. McGowan arrive, Mayor Pro Tem, we will, just give us the heads up, and we will reconvene then. But for now, we will recess until the next interview shows up at 1:17. We are now reconvening at 1:33. And we will continue our interview process with Dr. Kevin Stevenson, who's here already before us. Dr. Stevenson, we start out the interview by asking you for 3 or 4 minutes opening remarks on some of your background.
All right, thank you very much. Mayor Holmes and members of the City Council, good afternoon, and thank you for allowing me to speak to you today. My name is Kevin Stevenson, and I'm honored to be considered for the District 5 seat on the Waco City Council. With a deep-rooted commitment to this community and a career dedicated to leadership and healthcare, I bring a unique blend of experience, dedication, and vision to this role. My wife and I moved to Waco 4.5 years ago, fulfilling a dream of returning to Waco as we were both Baylor graduates and loved our time here in college. Over the years, we made numerous trips to Waco for Baylor sporting events, university functions, and other local events. When we moved here, I said that the only people who were sad that we did were the hotel employees. Throughout my career, I've had the privilege of serving in various healthcare executive positions and am currently the Chief Operating Officer at Ascension Providence. In this capacity, I lead a 287-bed hospital with over $1.5 billion in annual revenue, delivering high-quality, compassionate healthcare to nearly 500,000 Central Texans. My role involves operational oversight, strategic planning, business development, and fostering collaborative relationships with physicians, community leaders, and staff. These experiences have equipped me with the skills necessary to navigate complex challenges, drive meaningful change, and deliver results that benefit our community. My commitment to Waco extends beyond my professional endeavors. I have actively engaged in numerous community organizations, serving as an appointed member of the City of Waco Zoning Board of Adjustment, a member of the Leadership Waco Class 37, a founding member of the Leadership Waco Alumni Association, a deacon and committee chair at First Baptist Church Waco, a volunteer with the Greater Waco Chamber's Total Resource Campaign, and as the incoming president-elect of the Waco Rotary Club. My involvement in these roles has deepened my understanding of the issues facing our city and strengthened my resolve to continue to contribute to its growth and prosperity. As a twice-elected member of the Keller Independent School Board of Trustees, where I served as both president and vice president, I have a proven track record of effective governance and am quite familiar with the Texas Open Meetings Act and Robert's Rules of Order. I understand the importance of listening to constituents, building consensus, and making informed decisions that reflect the needs and aspirations of our community. During my tenure, we built 21 new schools, passed 2 bond elections, and passed annual budgets in excess of $400 million. I also know how to run a successful political campaign and win competitive elections, as I would seek a full term next year if appointed. And if appointed, my priorities will focus on fostering economic development, enhancing public safety, and improving infrastructure. I will advocate for policies that attract businesses, create jobs, and ensure that Waco remains a vibrant and welcoming place for all residents. Public safety will be a cornerstone of my efforts, working closely with law enforcement and community organizations to create a safe and secure environment. Additionally, I will champion investments in our infrastructure to support sustainable growth and improve the quality of life for everyone in our city. In conclusion, I am passionate about Waco's future and am committed to serving the residents of District 5 with integrity, transparency, and dedication. Together, we can build a stronger, more prosperous Waco for all. Thank you for your consideration, and I look forward to the opportunity to serve our community.
Thank you, Dr. Stevens. An interesting background. Appreciate your work at Ascension.
Thank you.
We have a few questions here that we want to go through with you. First of all, Dr. Stevens, how do you see your role on the Waco City Council, and what do you hope to accomplish as a city council member?
Well, thank you for that question. I will go back to my previous positions. I'm very communicative, collaborative, prepared, and visible. I feel as a leader that I need to be visible to my constituents, whether it be community members or our associates at Providence, so that they can see me and they see me as approachable so that they can share their concerns with me. And I will do the same thing as a council member as well. Yeah, I also see myself as successfully representing the needs of District 5 and how those specific needs really interplay with the needs of the overall city based upon mutually agreed upon goals and within the resources that we have available. I also don't think of this as my accomplishment or what I will do on the council. I think of it as what we will do as a council as a whole. And I look at that from our body, or this body as a whole, preparing goals in conjunction with the leadership of the city to best move forward Waco.
Excellent, thanks, Dr. Stevenson. Next question is, what do you see as the opportunities and challenges facing the city of Waco? Followed by a question about specifically District 5.
Certainly. I mentioned some of those in my opening statement, but certainly economic development. I came here fortuitously in January of 2020, right before the pandemic. So it was a little bit different for us. And I was so impressed with what we as a city have been able to do over these last 4.5 years since I've been here in drawing the various corporations to our community in a very challenging and difficult time. And so I see that, continued economic development, but really targeted development to what makes sense for us as a community. Waco has an amazing, I hate to call it culture, but it is. It's an amazing culture. People are drawn here. I grew up in Dallas, lived in Dallas most of my life, and couldn't wait to get back to Waco because of just the feeling that this is a family, this is a very welcoming community. I don't want to lose that, but I also recognize the fact that we do have to grow. And so we really need to be pointed about that. Public safety, again, whenever a community is growing, we face new challenges. New people are coming in, and there's new challenges to our law enforcement and just overall public safety. And so we have to be very dedicated to them as well, to assist them in making sure, again, we're not making decisions that really overburden them without preparing them with the appropriate resources. Infrastructure. I think that's something that we're seeing a real pinch point on now in some areas of the city because of the expansive growth. I know out where we live in the western part of District 5, we're seeing rapid growth, particularly from new housing starts, and that's a wonderful thing. But we've got to make sure that our infrastructure keeps up with that type of growth. And then finally, workforce development, and that's something that I see personally at the hospital, and am seeing this across the board in other industries and with other friends of mine who lead other organizations. It's becoming more difficult to acquire the appropriate workforce. And you would think in a community with a major university and an incredible trade school, trade college, and a wonderful community college, it wouldn't be quite that difficult. But I think some of the challenges that we see, frankly, are in and around housing and, I hate to say this, quality of life for the younger people. Waco is a wonderful place to raise a family. It's a great place for people to retire to. We're seeing that more and more. But that age range from maybe the mid-20s to the mid-30s, where many of them are single, they're living a life, and they're looking for more things to do. And that's why I really think that the Riverfront Project is going to be a wonderful thing for that. But in it, again, back to housing. Housing is a real difficulty. I have a daughter that's 28 years old, and she's having a hard time finding affordable housing, and she has a wonderful job. But finding affordable housing, whether it be an apartment or being able to buy her first house, it's difficult. And so we need to be able to attract developers from a housing standpoint that can come in here and, again, responsibly grow Waco, but do it in a manner that that it can keep up and help us with our workforce. So in particular with District 5, the same issues. But District 5 has some really unique challenges just because of the wide geographic expanse that it has. And there's a wide variety of opportunities and challenges throughout. And so that, again, speaks to the fact of just being visible and open to people and finding out, what are your specific needs, maybe over in the near China Spring or south of the lake or wherever. And in speaking of the lake, we have two really unique features there in District 5, the lake and the airport. And so I know we've had tremendous growth at the airport, but there's other opportunities as we grow. People want to be able to fly out of Waco to other locations other than just Dallas, being able to go to Houston or Austin or wherever. So that's a conversation that I know has been had with some of the airlines, and they have certain goals that they have to reach. But I think continuing to make sure that the airport continues to be incredibly viable and drawing more business, that would be good. The lake presents a lot of different challenges for us, not only from an economic standpoint, because so many of our new organizations have really identified Waco as a place to come because of the water resources, which is wonderful, but also for recreational too. And we need to be able to help cultivate that. And also, obviously, over the last month, we've had some incredible weather challenges we haven't seen, and hopefully we won't see for another 100 years. But there are some significant flooding issues that I think we need to take a look at as a council and as a city. That what can we do to help mitigate that going forward? So.
Excellent. Yeah, I like your points on D5. Wide area, and there's a lot of resources
Very much so.
and challenges. Doctor, tell us what you think you bring to the position that others may not, and then provide some examples of your community involvement.
Glad to.
You've done some of that already, but go ahead.
I've done just a little bit of that. Again, I think having already been elected to public office, I know the rigors of not only a campaign, but winning a very competitive and contentious election, as I did in my first election in Keller. So that sometimes is not for the faint of heart. And so I recognize that. But also, we had a number of challenges there in Keller that from not only budgetary standpoints, but also from a personnel standpoint, some of those actually bubbled up to the national stage for attention. And so we were able to navigate that incredibly well and make decisions based upon what was best at that time for the district and for our constituencies. So that's one thing. I think the other thing really is the fact of my familiarity with how government works. And again, that's something that can be learned, but if you've actually lived it for 6 years and seen a wide variation of that, you bring a different perspective than most people can. Also, as I said, just being able to look at the problems and the situations that come up. Not only have I been able to do that in my professional career, but also in that vein. Being able to analyze that from a global perspective and then drilling that down into specific decision-making tools.
Great, Dr. Stevenson. You have an excellent resume. We've got it here.
Thank you. Oh, and if I guess I should touch on just a few of the other things that I have done here in the city. Not only, as I mentioned, First Baptist Church and also the Zoning Board of Adjustment and the Rotary Club. I'm also a board member and finance committee member for the Community Healthcare of Texas Providence Hospice. Heart of Texas Regional Advisory Council board member, and as you know, that's our emergency management coordinating system. Mentioned Leadership Waco alumni, Total Resource Campaign. I'm also the current on the steering committee for the 2025 Go Red for Women campaign event for the American Heart Association. Actually, my wife and I chaired that last year. And I'm also the entertainment chair for the upcoming Cattle Barons Ball for the American Cancer Society, which will be announced in a couple of weeks, so I can't tell you that yet. And one of my hobbies is singing, and so I'm a member of the Central Texas Choral Society.
Wow, you've got skills. There's not a talent competition on this deal, unfortunately. Again, thank you for that, Doctor. The next question is, explain how you would work to govern effectively within the council manager form of government. As you know, we serve as a city council, kind of a board of directors
Sure.
to the city management, Bradley and all his crew.
Well, and that's something that I learned very quickly within the school board is that governance management line. And unfortunately, there are some elected officials that don't toe that line very well. But I look at, this body, other governing bodies are bodies that develop policies. They set the budgets, whether it be, also developing ordinances for the community, but also appointing the city manager and other key individuals. But, in my role previously, I made sure that we stayed as a body above that governance line and followed that because, we look to the city manager and his staff to be able to run the operations of the city effectively. Now, if we have an issue with that, we go to one person. We don't spread that out. We don't go down to the director or the frontline level. We speak to that one person. And so, we had some instances, unfortunately, of some board members in the past that I had to help rein in because they were taking a few liberties with their positions. I look at this organization. This is a body of one. As a council member, you have one voice, you have one vote. But once that decision is made, whether it be through discussion in executive session or out here in public session, once that decision is made, my opinion, you support that decision and you make that decision work as best as it possibly can. But prior to that, you do everything that you can to influence your fellow council members in this case to do what is ultimately what is best for the city as a whole.
Well stated. Last question. Before we conclude, do you have any additional information regarding your qualifications for the position, or do you have any questions?
I think one of the things that I have, I'm a native Texan. I grew up in Dallas, and as I said, I have 2 degrees from Baylor, and so know Waco well. But something else I think I bring to the table is the fact that we've actually lived in 6 different states. And so I've been involved in a number of other cities in different, voluntary organizations. And so I've seen how other people do it. And I know, that's something that I've learned in my career. I've been in a number of hospitals where it's a wonderful thing to have people who have been there 20, 30, and 40 years. That's great for culture. It's great for longevity. But sometimes the free exchange of new and fresh ideas may not be there. And so that's why I think being able to bring a broader perspective from some other communities may be of assistance to this council.
Well put. I think that's all we have, Dr. Stevenson. Really, thank you so much for coming here today, and we'll be following up with you if we have any other questions.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you coming on a little bit early too.
Absolutely.
Thanks, sir.
Good luck in your decision.
Thank you. And Chris, are you ready to go? I mean, we're a little ahead of schedule, but if you're here, we'll go ahead and get going.
I am ready.
Chris,
I'm disappointed there's not a talent.
I think Doctor maybe could have.
There to an interpretive dance for you.
That could have been close. Would have been close. We still may ask for that. Chris, you better look out.
There's still time.
Yes.
We're early.
That's right. If you have an extra 5, we may have you dance
Let me
on.
put my old man glasses on so I can see my notes.
All right, Chris. Again, Mr. McGowan, Chris McGowan is up just to go through a quick little visit here about the District 5 position. And Chris, can you just start out by giving us 3 or 4 minutes on opening remarks about yourself?
Sure, and I'll be brief. Good morning, or good afternoon, I should say, and I wrote that this morning. Good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity to be here today. I'm an urban planner, an economic developer, and a real estate development consultant here in Waco, living in District 5, working to grow and improve our community in various capacities. Since 2007, I have been working professionally, personally, and as a volunteer to do my part to make Waco the greatest city it can be. I have been boots on the ground working to build a better Waco for 17 years, and I believe that together with this council and the outstanding professional management leadership in place here in Waco right now, we can make a meaningful contribution and a lasting impact to Waco. The opportunities for this community are unlimited.
Totally agree with you, Chris. We just have a series of questions here, and the first of which is, how do you see your role on the Waco City Council, and what do you hope to accomplish as a city council member, Chris?
Sure. I see my role as part of the team working to make important decisions to guide this community forward to, achieve its collective goals. My priorities for the city are economic development. Economic development is the lifeblood of a sustainable community. It creates the revenue that allows us to operate and provide the services that keep our constituents safe, productive, connected, and happy while working to ensure that no one is left behind. Public safety is another priority. Public safety is a basic human need, and working to maintain a commitment to core public safety initiatives is the first step in creating an environment in which a community can thrive. So I think that's very important. Infrastructure. Aging infrastructure and access to water are huge issues around the country. Fortunately, Waco has done great work over the years in being sort of, ahead of its time to ensure that our citizens' needs are met, but we can't be complacent. An ongoing emphasis on quality infrastructure is essential to meet modern needs, respond to the challenges of growth that we're seeing today, and ensure a high standard of living for all Wacoans.
Thanks, Chris.
I have two more, if you will.
Oh,
two more priorities. I've got a lot of things I want to accomplish.
Absolutely.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Engaging deliberately to ensure Waco is a safe place for all voices is something that I'm very passionate about. At all levels, it's non-negotiable if we want to position Waco to be more successful into the future. And my final priority is downtown development and placemaking. Just like economic development, ensuring we have a strong, sustainable downtown is essential for any sustainable community for a couple of reasons. First, downtown is our greatest opportunity to maximize a return for our city. Downtowns, by and large, provide a significantly larger share of city revenue per land area of any other place in a city, simply because there's higher intensity development patterns. Additionally, I believe today's currency in economic development is talent, and creating an environment with the amenities that will attract and retain the best and the brightest workforce is the only way I believe that Waco will remain competitive into the future.
Great outline of priorities, Chris. Now a couple of questions about opportunities and challenges. First of all, what do you see as the opportunities and challenges facing our city? The following question is going to be, what do you think the greatest opportunities and challenges are facing District 5 specifically? But go ahead and take them one at a time.
Yes, sir. I truly believe that Waco can be one of the greatest cities in the country, by any measure. I mentioned earlier that the opportunities are unlimited. I'll tell you all a story. When I was preparing to move here about 17 years ago, actually it was a year before that, in 2006, I told my boss in Houston, I was working for the Houston-Galveston Area Regional Council of Governments, where I was doing regional planning, land use and transportation planning, things like that. I said, I'm moving to Waco. And he says, why in the world would you want to move to Waco? So I pulled up an aerial map, a Google Earth map, and I said, just look at downtown. The bones are incredible. There's a lot of open space. There's tremendous opportunity, and there aren't many other cities that I can think of in America that have that. And then I said, and I don't know that there is any other city in America that has that and has a river running right through the middle of it, not to mention another river and a lake. It's an incredible opportunity. Challenges, I think we're at an inflection point, and being collectively brave enough as a community to make the big decisions that will help us achieve our shared vision is frightening to many people. So, working to make sure that there's consensus in our community about who we are and where we want to go is always an ongoing challenge. As it relates to District 5, obviously, past council members for District 5 have done an amazing job responding to the needs of their constituencies.
Almost goes without saying.
Not to pander. But, you know, as I approach community advocacy and leadership, I tend to ascribe to a design thinking framework, utilizing an iterative, engaging process that first seeks to understand, I think, will be helpful for me to provide the best service to the residents of District 5. To achieve that, I intend to hold regular district-wide town hall meetings to ensure that the district has a voice and that the district constituency sees their priorities and their concerns and their hopes in the decisions that we as a council will make going forward.
Excellent observation on past District 5 representative. Okay, tell us what you think that you bring to the position, Chris, that others may not. And then, as you're describing that, also provide examples of your community involvement.
Yes, sir. Again, I've been on the front lines of working to make this city a great place for 17 years. And I think I've demonstrated a commitment to advocacy, to engaging the community, the public as a community leader, and to following through to get things done. Specifically, having been on multiple sides of the equation of working to build Waco, you know, through my experience at Greater Waco Chamber, conceiving and leading the Imagine Waco process, which was probably today still the largest and most successful public planning project to date in Waco in terms of public participation. There was 700 to 900, maybe 1,000 people at that kickoff meeting. That was a long time ago, but that was something I'm really proud of. As well as, you know, creating 1,000 Friends of Waco to engage all interested stakeholders in the ongoing story of downtown revitalization. When I first got here, that was in the throes of the Downtown Waco Inc. scandal, if some of y'all have heard of that or remember that. And there was a very small group of people that were engaged in what was happening in downtown. And one of the first things that I did when I got to the chamber was blow that committee up and said, we're going to invite everybody. Because the more voices, the more people in the pool, the better engagement we can have. As a small business owner, working with local and outside developers, as well as many institutional partners, such as the Hispanic Chamber with the LaSalle strategy, or sitting in as interim ED at City Center Waco to help reorganize and provide a foundation for them to be successful into the future is something I'm proud of. As a volunteer, creating and working with organizations like the Downtown Farmers Market and Creative Waco to provide new and interesting ways to create community connections and provide those amenities that I talked about a little bit earlier to help in attracting and retaining talented workforce and people and things of that nature. I bring experience, knowledge, and a depth of perspective that I think few other in this community have, and I believe with that, I can be a helpful partner to you all.
Great, thanks, Chris. Next question has to do with the city council and the city management form of government, where we're kind of the board of directors and Bradley and the city management runs the city. Explain how you would work to govern effectively within that
Sure.
dynamic.
I don't know if many people know this, but I grew up in local government or in and around the municipal world. My father was a city attorney in a small town out in West Texas. But, you know, that's an aside. Having outstanding professional management, as we do, is a tremendous asset to our community. And in a council-manager government, council effectively act, as you said, as a governing board responsible to its constituents. As a result, our role is to provide high-level policy direction to our professional management that's guided by and responsive to our residents. As a council, it's our responsibility to support the work of the city manager, as well as adopt budgets, tax rates, and ordinances prepared and presented by our professional staff. I would work effectively within those parameters to fully support the work of staff, engage as a community leader, and provide counsel on policy planning and development direction.
Thanks, Chris. Great responses in each case here. Before we conclude, that was basically the last question, but before we conclude, do you have any additional information regarding your qualifications for this position, or do you have any questions?
Sure. You know, I think y'all know this, but I sincerely and deeply believe in this community. And I believe my track record in working as an advocate for Waco speaks for itself. But I'm just getting started. Building a city is an ongoing endeavor, and becoming complacent or satisfied with the incredible progress our community has made since I've become a Wacoan is, it's immensely satisfying as I reflect on the small part that I may have played. But again, there's more work to do, and always will be, and I believe I'm the right person at the right time to help you guys on this journey. I'm driven by big ideas and big goals that achieve expectation-exceeding results. And while his goals weren't necessarily productive ones, I'm reminded of a passage from Don Quixote, who also shared a passion for adventure with big goals and big ideas. I'll paraphrase that passage for you if you will allow me. Don Quixote says, hey, Sancho, you see those giants down there? Let's go get them. Sancho replies to him, dude, what are you talking about? Those are windmills. And Don Quixote retorts back, I guess, bro, I know. Where's your sense of adventure? Come on, let's go. To carry that metaphor to, I don't know, maybe somewhat of a satisfying conclusion, I'm asking you to allow me the profound honor of joining you as we pursue together the ongoing story that is the endearing and epic saga of our home, Waco, Texas. Truly, all I want to do is continue to help, and I think I bring helpful things to the table. Thank you again for your time, and more importantly, thank you for all that you have done and what you will do. Appreciate you guys.
Thanks a lot, Chris. Appreciate your service to the community here, and thanks for the interview. Great responses, and we will be following up with you if you have any questions.
Great.
Thanks, Chris.
Y'all keep hydrated.
Gotta go chase some windmills here.
Now I'm gonna have to listen to Drink the Impossible Drink. Yeah.
So, gotta go to the Coyote deal. Bricker, we're running a little bit ahead of schedule. If you want to take a couple minutes, or we're ready to go. I mean, so you weren't scheduled until 2:15, but I can go ahead and go. Yeah, come on up. Just get comfortable for a couple minutes, and we'll get cranking on this. I appreciate you coming early, Bricker. Yeah, again, thanks, Bricker, Mr. Bruner, for coming here today. And we just run through a couple little questions during our interview process, and we open by just giving you 3 or 4 minutes of giving some opening remarks and background.
Awesome.
So, whenever you're ready, you can crank.
Okay. How are y'all doing today?
Great.
Thank y'all for having me. I'm excited to be here. My name is Bricker Bruner. I'm honored to be present to present myself as a candidate for the City Council District 5 vacant position. As a native Wacoan with a family history that spans over 170 years in the city and more than 175 years in the surrounding area, my roots here run deep. Growing up in District 5, I have an intimate understanding of our community's unique challenges and opportunities. Though I moved away to attend Baylor, really far, and lived downtown for 7 years, witnessing its remarkable growth, I have since returned to my home district, eager to contribute to its continued development. My passion for Waco and its residents has been demonstrated through the past 16 years of extensive community involvement. My volunteer work has always been driven by the genuine love for our city and the strong desire to give back. My journey in public service began in 2007 to 2009 when I served on the Waco Youth Council. During that time, I worked on the Bond Election Committee, gaining invaluable experience and insight into the workings of our local government. Notably, and she's not here today, I noticed, Alice Rodriguez was actually on the City Council then. Her dedication has always kind of stuck into my head, how many times she served and what she continues to serve for us. One of the most cherished volunteers experience that I've had is with Fuzzy Friends Rescue, where I served on the board for 10 years, including 3 of those years as board chairman. During my tenure, I was deeply involved in organizing events such as Bark and Ball and fundraising efforts through Pooches on Parade, which helped raise crucial funds for animal rescue and care. My efforts were recognized in 2021 when I received the Humane Hero Award, a testament to my dedication for our community welfare. A commitment to serve extends to other areas as well, as I've been actively involved with the Advocacy Center for Crime Victims and Children, serving in various capacities, including board chairman for 2 years, and contributing to the success of Mardi Gras Ball for several years. Additionally, my roles with the Reach Therapeutic Riding Center and numerous other organizations have allowed me to develop strong leadership, organizational, and collaborative skills. Currently, I serve on several committees with the Waco Association of Realtors, including the Budget and Finance Committee, Special Events Committee, and the MLS Compliance Committee. These roles have provided me with valuable experience in financial management, strategic planning, and even event coordination, all of which are essential skills for City Council members. My professional background as an independent sales agent with Kelly Realtors, an owner of Bruner Events and other entrepreneurial endeavors, has further equipped me with the experience needed to address our district and the community as a whole. Managing multi-million-dollar projects and leading successful teams have honed my ability to make informed decisions and drive positive change. In conclusion, my lifelong connection to Waco, extensive volunteer record, and professional experience make me an excellent candidate for the City Council District 5. My vision for our district includes fostering economic development, affordable housing, and infrastructure improvements, and also enhancing community engagement. I am dedicated to serving our community with integrity, passion, and genuine commitment to making a positive impact.
Thank you, Mr. Bruner.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have your resume, very impressive record of community involvement. We have like 3 or 4 questions here we go through. The first one is, how do you see your role on the Waco City Council, and what do you hope to accomplish as a city council member?
If I was a member of the Waco City Council, which I hope eventually one day I will with this or continuing running, I see my role as a representative and an advocate for the citizens of not only my district, District 5, but also to the city of Waco as a whole. My goal is to listen to the concerns and needs of the community, work collaboratively with fellow council members and city officials, and make informed decisions that benefit the entire city. By leveraging my extensive experience in real estate event planning, ironically enough, and community involvement, I aim to contribute effectively to the city's growth through development with my top 3 priorities, which includes economic development, because District 5 is large and it has plenty of spaces to grow, affordable housing, which is something that actually does lack in District 5, and infrastructure improvements, which is not unique to just District 5, but everywhere else. And so there's different ways and goals and strategies to help solve each of those. By focusing on these priorities, I aim to make significant contributions to the growth and well-being for Waco, ensuring it remains a vibrant and thriving community for all the residents.
Excellent. Bricker, now we have 2 questions about opportunities and challenges. First of all, what do you see as opportunities and challenges for our city? And then our next question after that is, what do you think are opportunities and challenges for District 5 specifically?
The city as a whole, we all see a city that's brimming with growth potential, and it continues to grow every time. Growing up here, the city of Waco that I grew up, even when I was 16, learned how to drive versus now is completely different. It has the potentials, but it also has plenty of opportunities and challenges set forth before it. Again, one of the opportunities with Waco is the economic growth and diversification, with the prime location of the city of Waco being between 2 metropolitan areas and just an extra hour and a half to another one. It places us in a strategic position to grow and continue to grow and be the hub for the state of Texas. And that could be in industries, particularly in technology, healthcare, and education, leveraging our central location in Texas. And we can continue to, y'all already as a council foster relationships with all the universities and the schools around town, but you continue to do those and grow. Revitalization of downtown and historic areas, something that continues to go on, something that in order for the city to grow, it has to continue to go on. It has to continue to grow and improve, and businesses have to continue to be attracted to it. But a key factor is community engagement and social programs. Getting the community involved and getting the community back behind your programs that you want to institute to grow these areas and revitalize them and make everyone happy, which is a task, and it's a task that's going to be forever going. But in order to strengthen the community, we have to get them involved. Some of the challenges I see are economic disparities. One of the significant challenges we face is addressing income inequality and ensuring inclusive growth. It's essential to focus on bringing businesses to Waco that actually provide a livable wage that benefits to bridge the two economic gaps in our community. Affordable housing shortage, managing rising housing. Y'all did in 2022 do a housing study to hopefully improve that, and it needs to continue to happen. Affordable housing, especially in District 5, does not exist. Infrastructure and public services, upgrading our aging infrastructure, which we all know, we all drive down the road, we all hit the potholes and think, what the heck? But in order to grow, that does come with the pains of the roads continuously deteriorating. The water system, we have a systematic failure in our water system that's going to happen over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years because of the aging infrastructure of our city. Environmental sustainability, one thing Waco's actually always been kind of on the leading edge for is, in order to be more environmental sustainable. Educational workforce development, ensuring that our local schools provide high-quality education, addressing skill gaps through vocational training and partnerships with educational institutions are paramount. So those are kind of some of the things for just the city of Waco.
Right.
As for District 5, again, it kind of goes off all that. The economic development and job creations. District 5 being the largest district, I'm pretty sure, if not, it's the most expansive of the area, not population-wise. Expansive-wise, there's plenty of land, plenty of areas for the area to grow, bringing new jobs, bringing new income, new families to the area. Job creations. District 5 has the potential to attract new businesses and industries, particularly in sectors of technology, healthcare, which it already does, and by retail. By fostering supportive environmental and entrepreneurship and providing incentives for businesses to set up in the district, we can create job opportunities to stimulate the economic growth. Community revitalization. There's a significant potential for revitalizing our neighborhoods and commercial areas. Through targeted investments in infrastructure and beautification projects, we can enhance the aesthetics, appeal, and functionality of our district. District 5, again, is expansive. It's great, but there's areas that do lack. It's more, and that would be more attractive and make it a more attractive place to work and live. Educational partnerships. Collaborating with local schools and higher education institutions can provide our residents with access to quality education, job training, and programs. We already have those. It's great. Let's continue to go with it. Enhancing public spaces. District 5 actually has some of the nicest parks around in the city of Waco, but enhancing them, making them more community-minded, places where people will actually gather and congregate. Challenges, again, like I've mentioned before, affordable housing. One of the most pressing challenges in District 5 is the need for affordable housing. Rising housing costs and limited availability of affordable units are a significant concern. We must work to develop strategies to increase that availability of affordable housing while preventing the displacement of long-term residents. Infrastructure improvements, again, District 5, bless its heart, and everywhere else in Waco, aging infrastructure in District 5 requires significant attention. Upgrading roads, utilities, public facilities is essential to support our growing population to ensure the safety. And while the city has started that and has continued to work hard on that, it's going to be an ever-continuing thing. Securing funding and managing these projects will be a critical challenge. Economic disparities. Addressing economic disparities within our district is crucial. We need to implement policies that promote equitable economic development and provide our opportunities for residents, particularly those in underserved parts of District 5. Public safety. Ensuring that the safety and the security of our residents is top priority. Addressing any issues of safety and concern in District 5 is very important in order for it to grow. Environmental sustainability. District 5 being along all Lake Waco, that's one thing we need to make sure we protect our land and our lake as well. In conclusion, while District 5 faces several challenges and opportunities for the growth and improvement that are substantial, by working together and implementing those thoughts, inclusive strategies, we can overcome these challenges and create a vibrant, thriving community for all residents of District 5.
Great response, Bricker. Bricker, tell us what you think that you bring to the position that others may not, and then also provide examples of your community involvement. I know, just expound on the community involvement. You got a lot of it.
That's one thing. Growing up, my parents always taught me to be involved in the community you're with, back the community you're with. I've had the opportunity to move to Dallas, Austin, Houston, Washington, D.C. with jobs. I chose to go to school here. I chose to grow up here. I chose to go to Baylor, right down the road. So moved out of my district for 12 years, so moved around. But as a candidate of the Waco City Council representing District 5, I bring a unique combine of professional experience, community involvement, and proven track record of leadership that sets me apart from the other candidates. I might not have the most city experience when it comes to city committees, but serving on different of these various community engagements, whether it's the Advocacy Center for Crime Victims and Children, which actually works very closely with the city of Waco, and even Fuzzy Friends Rescue that works very closely with the city as well. It has taught me and given me the invaluable resources to grow this position. My professional experience is very extensive. It's with the volunteering. It spans over the course of 16 years. I actually started when I was 18, chairing my first event when I was 18 years old for the Art Center of Waco. So it goes all the way back, and it started awesome. My love with it, like I mentioned before, was with the Waco City Youth Council that I served on for 4 years. So it kind of all started there, is when I realized I really need to get back to my city. Since then, you know, I could, like I said, I went to Baylor, I graduated, I could have gone anywhere. Instead, I decided to stay here, create a company, and be an entrepreneur in Waco, Texas. And that comes with its own challenges, especially in the events and the real estate industry. There's over 1,000 realtors in the industry, and the event world is not the most lucrative industry to be in Waco. But it's worked out, and I love what I do, and it does allow me to give back to my community more than I ever thought I could. But there's several things like the Advocacy Center, Reach Therapeutic Riding Center, which is a very unrealized nonprofit organization in Waco, which is riding equine to achieve confidence and health, located actually in McGregor on the old Camp Valverde, if y'all were familiar with that, now called Camp Hope, which provides horse riding lessons to children that might have disabilities or might be victims of sexual assault and need the therapy to achieve confidence and health. Locally, I've been involved with a bunch of different local ones, but also too nationally, the American Cancer Society, American Heart Association too as well. In the past, I've helped with the Humane Society and their the wine and food festival they used to have and stuff, and actually was the first person in what they had, the designer bag lady lunch. So all very important to me. That's what sets me apart from other candidates is my ability to combine professional expertise with a deep commitment to our community to serve. My background in real estate and event management provide me with the skills necessary to address complex issues such as economic development, affordable housing, and infrastructure improvements. My extensive volunteer work demonstrates my dedication to serving the community and my ability to lead and collaborate effectively.
Oh, Mr. Bruner, you have a long list of community
I can keep going on, but I'm not.
Yeah, no, I appreciate your community involvement here in Waco. This question is, explain how you would work to govern effectively within the council manager form of government, which is basically city council serving as a board of directors for the city management and city manager forward.
As a member of the Waco City Council, I would be committed to governing effectively with the council manager form of government, which relies on a collaborative and balanced relationship between the elected council and the appointed manager. This is a structure ensures professional management of the city operations while maintaining democratic oversight and accountability. That every board I've served on is structured the same way. We all see it. We all oversee the executive director. We all know what our do's and don'ts are, where we can overstep, where we shouldn't overstep. And with that experience, that kind of brings that knowledge already to the table for me of how to properly conduct myself in that position.
Excellent, good answer. Before we, that's all the questions, so thanks for your time today. But before we conclude, do you have any additional information regarding your qualifications for this position, or do you have any questions, Bricker?
No, I just want to say thank you for considering me for the candidacy of City Council District 5 for the City of Waco. I bring a wealth of experience and dedication to the role, underpinned by my professional achievements and deep-rooted commitment to the community I serve. With my professional experience, community leadership, and commitment to public service, I think I'd be a great fit to continue to serve on the City Council. And I think it would be something that I would truly enjoy and seek to continue for long-term and continue to watch my city to grow. Like I mentioned before, my family has a very long history in this town, so.
Bricker, thanks so much. Again, you have a great resume of community involvement. We appreciate that. Thanks again, and we'll be following up with you if we have any questions.
Awesome. Thank y'all.
Thanks, Mr. Bruner. Chris, I know you just walked in, but if you need a few minutes or whenever you're ready, we're doing these little. Well, let's take 3 to 5 minutes. We'll recess for 5 minutes at what? 22. 222. Brinzer's down front here. We're going to continue the interview process here this afternoon that we're going through, and we are on Ms. Krista Brinzer. And it's so good to have you here this afternoon. We appreciate you coming in and applying and going through this interview process, Krista. We start by asking for some background, then we have like 3 or 4 questions, and we'll start here by give us 3 or 4 minutes on opening remarks, background. But again, appreciate you being here today.
Thanks for having me. Hi, everybody. It's good to see so many familiar faces, but if you don't know me, my name is Krista Brinzer, and what I wanted to share opening here is that every single day, I wake up dreaming about how Waco can meet its fullest potential. And I'm lucky enough that in my professional and personal life, I'm able to chip away at some of that. For those who don't know, I'm Senior Director of External Affairs over at Baylor University, where I lead the university's community engagement team and strategy. Now that is town and gown, but it's town and gown on steroids as we lead programs that make a difference based on city priorities. But my love of Waco didn't start with this job. My love of Waco started way back when I was an undergraduate student here at Baylor. Volunteering in the community, I was able to plug into places like the Dr. Pepper Museum. It was at the Dr. Pepper Museum and with mentors there that I was able to see a different side of Waco that I didn't see when I was on campus. I helped make a difference with those groups, and those groups made a profound impact on me. And I wanted to stay after graduating, so I did. That kick-started a journey through public service and community service that has led me here today. I joined the Junior League of Waco, learned about women and children and family issues, sought to make a difference there, and have continued to chase the greatest need ever since. I'm here as a voice of my neighbors on behalf of District 5.
Great remarks, Krista, and fantastic resume too. We appreciate your service over at Baylor and for the community. How do you see your role on the Waco City Council, and what do you hope to accomplish as a city council member?
I view my role on City Council as that of a true representative. Council members are people who go out, they listen, they seek to understand and learn, and then they come back and advocate on behalf of their neighbors. In the council capacity, I would hope to continue to build a Waco that those neighbors can be proud of, but also carry out the amazing work that's been set in process here. When you think about where Waco has been in the past 10 years since I've really started a professional journey, it is unrecognizable in the best way. It continues to grow and serve and meet its constituents' needs. But beyond that, I just hope to make a difference in the lives of everybody.
Great answer. A couple of questions here about opportunities and challenges. First of all, what do you see as opportunities and challenges facing our city? And we'll follow that by opportunities and challenges facing District 5 specifically.
Opportunities. I love everything that I've read and seen about the Gensler plan. I think that it is so bold to take a big stab and put a big flag in the ground about what Waco can be for Wacoans as much as tourists. In regards to tourism and economic development, those are two sides of the same coin. I am very excited to see the hiring of Danny in the Chief Economic Development Officer role. I think that that's going to streamline where we're going when we look at recruiting new businesses to Waco. I think that that will help us be more strategic in who's coming. Again, thinking back to that growth that we've experienced over those past 10 years, we've had amazing businesses relocate here, but now we can kind of take a step back and go, is this meeting the needs of our future workforce or our current workforce? Will these jobs provide livable wages? And then we can also take a further step back and look at the opportunities to upskill our workforce to meet those needs. So that kind of segues into some of those challenges too. With growth comes growing pains, but I'm confident that Waco can get there. The other challenge that I foresee facing Waco in particular relates to infrastructure. The cost of building supplies keeps going up, so that does have an impact on our bottom line and our budget. The other piece of that is, it's hard to believe that this time last year we were in incredible straits related to our water supply and our water source. Grateful that we're out of drought, but I do think that looking forward to the future, it behooves us to plan and make a plan about how and where we're going to find our water from here on out.
Krista, specifically to District 5, what do you see as our opportunities and challenges facing D5?
District 5 is a special place just because it covers so much territory from China Spring over to Mountain View where I live, all the way out to Highway 84. That particular district was built in different phases, different times, so infrastructure overall, but we've got aging infrastructure in one place, we've got the booming need for more roads and more streets in the other place, so that is a big challenge there. But I'm confident we can get there. Opportunity-wise, I'm excited to see the growth of China Spring and the investment in parks. I think there's a lot of opportunity related to quality of life needs. Again, looking at parks, looking at playing fields across the district, you could expand that to Waco too, but I'll keep it D5. There's an opportunity to make things equitable and truly be intentional about where we're placing new parks and new play fields moving forward.
Excellent. Thanks, Krista. The next question is, tell us what you think you bring to the position that the other applicants may not bring to the position. And then provide a few examples of your community involvement, please.
I believe I bring a holistic approach and view to council that other people may not have, simply because I've been on the grassroots and forefront of many of the issues, and I've been able to work alongside those change makers, both in city but also in the nonprofit community, making a difference. So you'll see, you have my resume in front of you. I'm currently president of the Junior League of Waco. I have been involved with that organization for 10 years, and we are currently leading out on efforts surrounding pre-K, because we believe that when you invest in the youngest, that impacts workforce, that impacts the community at large, even if you don't have children. I'm also vice president of the Cameron Park Zoological Society Board, and talk about community champions that come alongside the city and believe in shining the light on places in Waco that are just special. Outside of that, not listed on my resume, I co-founded Match Waco, which is a board matching program that pipelines diverse talent from Waco into board seats where there is need. So it's both talent matching, so there's a little bit of matchmaking there, but again, it's chipping away at representation where it matters.
Fantastic. Yeah, your community involvement in your resume is outstanding. A question here about working within the city council and city management form of government. How would you work to govern effectively within that kind of a board of directors and the manager, city manager dynamic?
First of all, I'd like to say that in any board governance scenario, I live by assuming positive intent. I think that helps people go pretty far. But in this particular form of government, it's the role of the council to set that big vision, focusing on the what and the why, and trusting your experts to bring in that how. I've had the pleasure of working alongside many in the city manager's office, but I do appreciate the clear delineation of those roles.
Excellent. I think that's it. I mean, your community involvement in Waco is so impressive, and your work at Baylor we're all familiar with, and we appreciate that, Ms. Brinzer. Before we conclude, do you have any additional information regarding your qualifications for this position, or do you have any questions?
I do have questions. Just because I had the opportunity to share my why, I would love to know why you all feel so strongly about representing Waco.
And who wants to pick that one up? Councilmember Borderoud, jump in.
I think it's deeply meaningful for all of us to serve the city that we live in and love so dearly, and are so committed to improving and maintaining all of the wonderful things about it. But for me personally, I grew up in 11 different communities in my first 18 years of life, and so it's just been so rewarding to put down roots and to be involved in the business of governing the city that you've called home. So it's been a real honor, I think, for all of us, and I think for native Wacoans, it's probably even more of a profound feel, or native Central Texans. But it's just been a wonderful experience, and it just is so deeply meaningful to serve the community and to give back what it's given, because it's given us so much. So.
I feel the same way.
Great. Krista, thank you so much. Great responses all across the board. And again, appreciate your community involvement and your work at Baylor. Thank you, and we will be following up with you if we have any questions.
Thank you all.
Appreciate you, Krista. Our next applicant is Ms. Reisinger, and we're a few minutes early. If you're ready to go, we'll accommodate, or whatever time you want to take, come on up. And we're in that middle position on the table there. How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm great. How are you?
Fantastic.
Okay.
Again, thanks for being here this morning and going through this process. We appreciate you turning in your application, and we appreciate your interest in the D5 council position. We just have a few questions here. And the first step up is 3 or 4 minutes opening remarks. Just give us some of your background.
Okay. Well, I grew up here in Waco. I moved here from when I was 2 years old and went K through 12 to Midway schools. My mother was a school teacher at the old Woodway Elementary, and my dad was the vice president of finance at Hillcrest Hospital. When I graduated, I left home and attended Texas A&M and earned a degree in political science. And I started working for politicians when I was 14. I've started with, when we're talking Reagan and Mondale, I was involved in that election, and I continued working for politicians throughout college. I moved back to Waco 2 years ago, so it's been 33 years since I've been gone. A long time, but we moved back. My mom was sick, and I came back to take care of her, and she's passed on since. But my husband is an attorney at Dunham & Jones, and I have 2 wonderful sons. My oldest son played college baseball and received a degree in Christian ministry. He is now getting his MBA and is going to be going off to the Army and going to Fort Knox next month, and is going in as an officer. He plans to be an Army Ranger and eventually wants to rescue children from sexual slavery. I also have a son who just graduated from China Spring. He was president of Teen Leadership Waco, and he is going to Rice this fall. Wow. And is going to get a degree in political science and Spanish, and hopes to be a lobbyist for education. I am starting my 30th year of teaching. Now, my first field is political science, but my second field is Spanish, and that is what I've been doing because they give political science and government jobs usually to coaches. So I've been teaching Spanish for 30 years, and I am now about to take, recently, I was unexpectedly and deeply honored to be named Teacher of the Year last Friday. Thank you. I love to educate and help others achieve greatness. And so I'm about to take students and a few parents to Costa Rica on Monday for a study abroad. At my last school district, I started and led junior city council. My students attended meetings, asked questions, and gave suggestions on how the city could impact the youth. After taking care of my family for years, I'm currently able now to go back and get my master's degree. And I'm getting a degree in a master's in biblical studies from Houston Christian. I have family in the area. My sister and brother-in-law own George Andrew and Associates, and my sister is involved with the Genealogical Society. And when I lived here from 2 to 18, I saw a lot of things when I moved back 33 years later. Some things have changed and some things haven't. It's kind of wonderful to kind of come back and see my old hometown. And so now I'm at a point where I've grew up here. It was a great place to grow up. I love the history about this town. And when I saw that there was no one at the time running for this position, I was like, this is a good way for me to give back and serve the community that gave me so much. So.
Great answer, fascinating career. It sounds like you have a great family, and congratulations on Teacher of the Year. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Just a couple questions we're going to go through here. The first one is, Ms. Reisinger, how do you see your role on the Waco City Council, and what do you hope to accomplish as a city council member?
Well, I'm here to serve and to represent my district, plain and simple. I have There's no agenda for me. I'm just here to serve. I want to preserve Waco's history. And while moving forward in the activities, one of the things that I've noticed is the many cultural activities that we've brought into our town. I think it's fantastic. We have, and I want to continue on with those efforts. One of the big things that I'm really interested in is our youth. If I could sing like Whitney Houston, I'd break out into her song right now. But, you know, they are our future. And we have, there's a lot of things that we can do. After teaching 30 years, we have a lot of kids that are growing up and they've been raised by electronics. They have a little bit of a victimitis. They have a little bit of victimitis, or victim it is what I call it. Where we need to really empower these kids in many ways, and we can do that, I think, as a city in collaboration with churches and counselors, and help these kids learn about civic duties and about being proud of their community and what it takes to grow up and be a good citizen and a contributing member of society.
Great points, Mr. Reisinger. A couple of questions here about opportunities and challenges. Now, first of all, what do you see as opportunities and challenges facing our city? And we'll follow that up with what do you see as the opportunities and challenges facing District 5 specifically?
Okay. Well, compared to when I lived here 33 years ago, it is fantastic to see the regeneration of things going on. Safety is improved in so many ways. It can continue to improve, of course. I think we need to be careful with our growth in the economy. I remember in the early 90s when we kind of overgrew a little too fast and went into a recession. So we need to be careful of things like that. But at the same time, I would like to, as I've mentioned before, I'd like to see a cooperative task force between the city, the youth ministers, and the school counselors. And what I'd like to offer is affordable teen camps for teens and their parents to come in at the end. And at these teen camps, it would go from between 9 to 15 years of age. The kids would forge lasting friendships, but also immerse themselves in essential skills for life teachings. They would also each day thoughtfully, they would be empowered to be participants in their family unit, and their families would come in at the end and they would learn how to talk and synchronize their growth with what their parents are trying to give to them as well. So they learned how to communicate. But this also teaches them those it gives them tools that they can put in a toolbox for when life does hit. So they don't turn to things like drugs or alcohol. As I've been teaching just in the last couple of years, the rate of anxiety in children has gone through the roof. And some of that's just life. A lot of us that have been around for a long time would say that's just life, and you have to learn how to adapt and overcome it. But if they're not given those skills, then we need to figure out how are we going to give them these skills, because these kids are going to be taking care of us before too long, and they're going to be sitting in these seats. So.
Great answer about youth focus is very important. What do you see about as opportunities and challenges facing District 5 specifically?
Well, one of the things, we have a beautiful lake, but it's known for being not so clean. And one of the things that I would like to, my nephew is getting into the pro fisherman circuit. He and I were talking the other day. And I would love to see that there's a lot of cleanup going on. And I'd like to see students in schools, there's many different clubs and activities in schools where the kids are encouraged and teachers take them to get involved in community activities. I'd love to see them getting involved with cleaning up the lake and cleaning up a lot of the areas around. And then I'd also like to see Texas Parks and Wildlife come in and restock the Lake Waco so that we are able to offer things like fishing tournaments and things like that that would draw in people and get things going. I'd also like to see different opportunities to come in for that help our economically and our ecology. I'd like to see that we have companies come in like solar powered, not just selling the solar powered panels, but also manufacturing the panels as well here. And so, in using some of the buildings that we are not being used currently, we don't want to take away farmland. We want to keep everything sustainable if we can in Waco and use what we have, but also grow our community at the same time.
Thanks, Ms. Reisinger. The next question is, tell us what you think that you bring to the position that other applicants may not, and then also provide some examples of your community involvement.
I have, one of the things that I've done before we moved here, I ministered with my family at a men's Christian drug rehab facility. And we got highly involved with this group, this organization. From my son was 13 at the time, and he was working in the kitchen and reading the Bible to those that were illiterate. I was working with their wives and trying to restore the family unit. That's very important for us to be able to raise, and it's a trickle-down effect. It's going to affect us all when we have kids that are happy, healthy, and they're from a nurturing environment. But I got involved with the men there and with their families, and it was very, very rewarding. I love being that liaison, that person that can bring folks together in order to achieve a bigger goal.
Thank you, Ms. Reisinger. I love your focus on youth and family. It's great. The next question has to do with the city council, city manager form of government. Can you maybe discuss or how you would work to govern effectively in that council manager form of government? Or just like we have a city council here that sort of works with the city manager over there, and he has the 1,500 people to manage. But give us some dynamic on how you would work in that.
Well, my job is to listen to my constituents, to business owners, to learn from you guys that have been involved. I have not been in Waco, but in a way, that's a good thing. I remember the Waco of old, and I like a lot of the things that are still here and then some of the new things. And so I may be able to bring in new ideas, but I think that my job is to learn too, and also be as good of a representative as possible to my district.
Excellent.
It's about creating that sense of community.
Totally agree. That's kind of all the questions. Before we conclude, do you have any additional information regarding your qualifications for this position, or do you have any questions?
Well, I thought of something that it totally popped out of my mind, but at one point I did an externship between the district where I was working at the time and the city of Madisonville, where we were living. And so during that summer, I worked for every department within the city, where I was learning about water lines. I was learning about wastewater treatment. I went and spent a day with each and every one of these and learned all I could. And boy, was I taught a lot. Road repair, I even drove the little thing that made the tar go down into the potholes. It was really kind of interesting. I worked at each of the city offices and talked with the judges, and then I even got to go out with the dog catcher. So I did, it all. So that was kind of interesting, and it was something that was very helpful. And I was able to take that with me into team leader, into the teen youth council that I headed as well.
That sounds interesting. Sounds like you learned a lot on that deal. Yeah, I really appreciate your focus on youth and focus on family and your experiences. It sounds great. Thank you for going through this process, and we will follow up with you if we have any questions. Thank you, Ms. Reisinger.
Thank you. Y'all have a good day.
Appreciate you. Our next applicant is Dr. Edison. We're a little ahead of schedule. If you're ready to go, we'll continue here. If you want to take a couple minutes, it's totally at your leisure. Just get comfortable.
Thank you. Typically, I would come shake your hands, but the setting is kind of awkward for that. So I won't make it any more awkward.
Yeah, don't let this be intimidating. It's kind of a weird little setup here.
But imagine me shaking your hands right
Absolutely.
now. Okay.
glad you're here today.
Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate you turning in your application and being part of this process, and look forward to visiting with you for a few minutes. We have several questions here that we go through, which start out by asking for 3 or 4 minutes of just opening remarks or background.
Perfect. First of all, I want to comment on my eye. I'm having a hard time seeing. I woke up a couple of mornings ago with something in my eye, and anyway, it's progressively gotten worse. So I do have some preconceived notes, but I can't see them. So I was going to open up with the joke that I had just fought my tax appraisal. I just had my hearing at 1 o'clock, and that's why my eye might be a little black. But anyway, but nonetheless, I know I am the last one for you guys today, and I know you're probably exhausted from hearing all these talented candidates. As I looked at them, Waco's very, very blessed to have 15 individuals come out for such a position. But I guess, to start to tell you a little bit about me and who I am, I kind of wanted to do it a little bit differently and tell you a story. One of my favorite t-shirts that I have says, "I'm just a kid from South Waco." And I know I'm not a kid anymore. But when I look at my background and when I think about where I've come from to where I am today, that shirt means so much to me because I am just a kid from South Waco who managed to do pretty well for himself in growing up. But in order for you to understand that success, I want to tell you a little bit about my background in growing up. You see, I was raised by a single mom who managed to raise 3 boys all by herself. At the age of 2, my dad left us never to be seen again, and I was the youngest of the 3 boys. We grew up on 2419 Burnett. Bradley knows I still own that house. That house I'll never give up because it's the house that built me to be the person I am today. But a little bit about my growing up. We grew up poor. We grew up real poor. And when I say this story, sometimes I say we grew up po, and we couldn't even afford the OR, and so thank you, but we were poor, and I went to Waco Public Schools. I'm a product of Waco Public Schools, graduate of University High School, and I love that about who I am. But every night before we would go to bed, my mom would tell us the same thing, that she would tell us that we could be anything we wanted to be if we set our mind to it. And she drilled that into 3 boys that one day would grow up to become 3 doctors out of poverty. There's a brick that is outside the Welcome Center at Baylor that now states something to the effect of, "Thanks, Mom. We're doctors." Dr. Brian, Dr. Ricky, Dr. David Edison. And I think a lot of that goes to her commitment to raising 3 boys, but a lot of it goes to the fact that she taught us how to be young men. And I sit in a position now as a superintendent of schools where I see a lot of single parents, and we see a lot of that. And I am able to relate to that simply because I understand that capacity and what it does to a child. It only takes one person to believe that somebody can do it, and they can. And luckily for me, I had that person who relied a lot upon God to get us through some of our difficult times. At the age of 16, again, I was the youngest of 3 boys. My mom massively died of a heart attack. And I can remember not only that day vividly, but I could also remember this community. This community, my church home, my school, the faculty and staff at University High School, and y'all, this is some 25 years ago, wrapping their arms around me. And what I came to terms with is that I could have not have gotten through that point without that love, the compassion, and the grace of God through the hardest part of my entire life. And I say all that to say I've always wanted to position myself to be in a spot to where I can give back to the community. And when I first saw this position, it kept reappearing, and I prayed about it, and I kind of sought some, vision on, is this something that I really, really would want to do? And the answer from the get-go, from the moment I saw it, was absolutely 100% yes. I think that this would be a great way for me to give back to a community that has given me and so much. And again, just born and raised in Waco, love it here, and plan to be here for the remainder of my life. So,
Thanks, Dr. Goodson. Interesting history. That's very neat. I'll get into the series of questions here now. How do you see your role on the Waco City Council, and what do you hope to accomplish as a city council member, Doctor?
I hope to be part of a team of the individuals in moving Waco forward. I think it's a unique situation that I do serve as the superintendent because I work with a board myself. I will have 7 board members who basically are my bosses, but a very, very similar situation when it comes to the council and basically working as a team for the betterment of, in my case, would be my school district, but in this case, for the betterment of this community. Waco has seen a lot of great things happening. And if I could just be just a part of that, a small piece of that, I would consider that an honor and a privilege to work alongside of you guys.
Doctor, just a couple of questions we have about opportunities and challenges. First of all, at the city level, what do you see as the opportunities and challenges facing our city?
I definitely think that growth, and I'm sure that a lot of people probably have said the same things, but growth for this community has been a fast pace, but it's also been one that I think that this community and this city has really undertaken and done a good job with. And when we get down to the questions, some of the things about challenges and facing those challenges, I commend the council for the work that you guys have done over the past few years with respect to everything that's gone on as far as development and everything. This council has done a very, very good job in utilizing all the resources that it has to make Waco a great place.
Thank you, Doctor. Great answer. On the same vein, what do you see as opportunities and challenges facing District 5 specifically?
District 5 is big, and it's a big district. But again, I think just reaching out to yourself, Mr. Holmes, and asking you as a former councilman of 5, what were the needs and so forth. I've lived, this will be my 3rd home in District 5, and I have loved every single minute of it, and just really, really good people in this district, but just seeking the thoughts of the constituents in the district to figure out the needs, but I do understand it's a large district.
Doctor, we'll go to the next question. Tell us what you think you bring to the position that other applicants may not, and then also can you provide just a few examples of your community involvement?
Right. Okay. I think that my background in education is one of the things that I bring to the table. I sold out my life to education, and that's just my passion. It's my purpose, and it's what I do. And I think that that background mixed with the background of you all would fare well on this council. I think that there's an opportunity for us to bridge some gaps with the Waco ISD and bringing the aspect of that to the council. And then to teach young people too, not only my story, we all have a story. Every one of us has a story to be told, and I think that young people need to start hearing about these stories so that they can too understand that one day they can grow up and be some type of success, even for Waco, and make this their permanent home and utilize their talents here. As far as me, I have served on the Building Standards Planning Commission prior to COVID. I do also have a small business, Edison Properties LLC, and we were actually recipients of some of the COVID relief funds from the city. And I want to take an opportunity again to just thank you for that. Again, during a time of catastrophe, this council was able to help support small business and those individuals that really, really got hit hard during that process. And because of that, I did have to step down from my position there on that committee, but I did enjoy my time and working with them and getting to know inspectors, and that's where I met Bradley Ford. And by the way, off this record, has done an amazing job as a city manager, and has talked me down off the realm several times. And I want to thank you for that too publicly, Mr. Ford, but a great job as a city manager, so thank you for that. Other things that I've been a part of are the Make-A-Wish Foundation with University High School. As an alumni, I'm a part of that every single year, and it's just a meaningful project that Mike Chapman had brought forth years ago, and I'm so glad that that lives on. I'm also sit on the McLennan Community College Advisory Board for Alternative Teachers, as well as the board for Region 12 for Alternative Certification Teachers. I would also like to mention too that I was a recipient of the Passport to Success program. I don't know if any of y'all are familiar with that, but it was a program that paid for my undergraduate because I was a member of the Waco Boys and Girls Club for a long time, and that program was a huge benefit to me, and the Paul J. Meyer family has been instrumental in supplying me and my brothers both that tuition for undergraduate work.
Thank you, Doctor. Great examples of community involvement. Appreciate you. The last question is, explain how you would work to govern effectively within the council manager form of government, where we have a council up here of 6 people and a city manager and the staff on a kind of separate.
I think it goes back to the fact that very similar to a school board, we're just individuals that create a body of work, and I think that one of the things that we strive to do in the education realm, and I'm sure you guys do too, is work together to get better for the betterment of the organization, or in this case, betterment of the city. And so I think that, again, my background lends well to that because I am familiar with working with the board and the purpose of a board in an individual board member's role and responsibility as it relates to the body.
Great, thanks, Doctor. Very impressive resume, and it reflects your commitment to education. Appreciate that. Before we conclude, do you have any additional information regarding your qualifications for the position, or do you have any questions?
Yeah, I have a list of questions, and I was going to see if we could, no, kidding. I'm glad someone laughs, you know, like, easy attention.
We'll give you credit for good judgment.
I'm not going to bore you with my questions at all. I do want to say one more quick thing, and just to give you a little bit about me. Personally, my brother and I are in business together. We have a side job. He's actually administrator at Waco ISD, and we're all a family of educators. But we knew if we were going to make it, we needed that side hustle. And so we do have a small real estate business too, and own a couple of commercial buildings in different districts. And I think that's relevant to, again, just my position and understanding of the board and what it entails. And then in District 5, being a part of the Enclave. That's part of one of my opportunities to try to revamp that area in District 5 to it's a beautiful area that we can beautify Waco as one of the opportunities there in that district. But I did want to bring that forward, that we are business owners to the Waco area. So, and thank you guys again for the opportunity to sit through all these all day, and we appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr. Edison.
Thank you, guys.
We appreciate the conversation here. We'll be following up with you if we have any questions.
I'll shake your hands again. So. Y'all take care.
Thanks again. We will now recess the work session and reconvene regular session for executive session as read into the record by the city secretary at 3:08 p.m.
Notice is hereby given that the City Council will go into executive session in accordance with the following provisions. Personnel, Texas Open Meetings Act, Section 551.074, City Council member for District 5. We are now in executive session.
And I encourage all the people that were in today to continue to stay involved in municipal work and in the city of Waco and in their commitment to the city. But George Chase, also congratulations to George, and we'll be following up with him. That we'll be sworn in at the June 18th meeting.
Mayor, you may want to pull
that. Yeah, because we haven't voted on it yet, have we? That's So I would,
In addition to the discussion, Mr. Mayor, I want the general public to know that Councilmember Rodriguez, while she in her absence, was watching all 15 candidates and participated in the discussion in the executive session. So it's not, you're not short a council member in this selection.
well, can we have discussion, or could we have discussion after we vote? Just so we can, or should we
I
not?
mean, y'all can certainly make comments after y'all vote.
All right, well then why don't we go ahead and vote, and then we can feel freer about the comments. Please poll the council.
Bearfield,
Yes.
Ewing,
Yes.
Porterud,
Yes.
Holmes.
So welcome to George Chase, who's not here with us today, or tonight. Welcome to council. I guess we'll get sworn in officially next council meeting, June 18th, after the business session. So I think we've already made a couple comments, but if y'all want to go around or wait till he's sworn in, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to serving with him. His credentials in the business community and as a civic-minded businessman, I think are going to add a lot to this council. So looking forward to working with him.
Second that sentiment. I was very pleased with the interview today and looking forward to adding him to our group here and continuing the work we're doing. I think he'll fit really well.
I echo the sentiments of my council members. There is a lot of opportunity for us moving forward and a lot of things in programming and policy making that we are in the process of, and I think that he will be able to come in and whilst there's a learning curve, participate in advancing that policy and directive. Well.
With that, and I've already made my comments, and again, I appreciate everybody going through the process today, and appreciate the quality of candidate and the number of candidates, and appreciate council here for considering all the very qualified folks in District 5 that came forward today. With no further business, we will adjourn the meeting at 4:03 p.m.